The nurse had just fastened a plastic bracelet around my wrist when she asked who she should contact if there was a problem. "My daughter," I said. At the same time, Lauren said, "Call my husband's mother if anything happens. She knows the whole plan." For a second, all three of us looked at one another. The nurse was young enough to hide her surprise badly. Her eyes moved from Lauren to me, then down to the tablet in her hand, where somebody's name was apparently waiting to be chosen. "Diane Mercer?" she asked. "Diane Holloway," Lauren corrected. "Caleb's mother. Not my sister, not a doctor, not even someone related to me except through the marriage of the woman standing beside my wheelchair. Caleb's mother." Lauren touched my shoulder as though settling me. "She has all the information." I looked at my daughter's hand, at her pale pink nails and the thin gold ring I had given her on her 30th birthday. Then I heard myself say, "That's fine." The nurse hesitated. It was a tiny pause, hardly anything, but it asked the question I couldn't ask with Lauren standing there. How had another woman become the person who knew what to do if I died? 3 hours earlier, Lauren had arrived at my condominium carrying 2 travel mugs and talking through my front door before I had finished unlocking it. "Please tell me you didn't eat. Good morning to you too." "Mom, I didn't eat. Not even toast? I understand what fasting means. You put butter on crackers and call it a light snack. That happened once. It happened last Thanksgiving. That was practically a year ago." She came in sideways, balancing the coffee while trying not to knock my overnight bag over with her boot. Lauren was 40, though in the morning she still entered a room the way she had at 16, bringing weather with her. Her brown hair was twisted into a clip that looked expensive and inadequate. One side was already falling down. She handed me a mug. I stared at it. "It's hot water with lemon," she said. "I'm not an idiot. I didn't say you were. Your face did." I took a cautious sip. She had put so much lemon in it that my mouth folded inward, but I thanked her anyway. My bag sat near the coat closet, packed since the previous afternoon. Pajamas, slippers, robe, phone charger, toothbrush, the mystery novel Ruth had given me, and a pair of underwear so respectable they could have served on a church committee. I had checked the bag 3 times. Lauren checked it again. "Where's your insurance card?" "In my wallet." "Medication list?" "Blue folder." "Advance directive?" "Blue folder." "Phone charger?" "In the bag." "The long one?" "No, Lauren. I brought the 4-inch cord so I can spend the night leaning against an electrical outlet." She stopped digging and looked up at me. I smiled. She did not. "You're nervous?" she said. "I'm hilarious. You make jokes when you're nervous. You make lists when you're nervous. I make lists all the time." "Yes, dear." She zipped the bag harder than necessary. I watched her carry it to the hallway, and a warm, foolish gratitude rose in me. She had remembered the lemon water. She had arrived 8 minutes early. For 2 weeks, she had texted me questions about medications, meals, showering, and whether the throw rug beside my bed was a tripping hazard. The attention felt almost luxurious. My husband, Frank, had been dead 4 years. In those 4 years, I had become very good at managing alone, and even better at making sure Lauren never had to worry that I wasn't managing. A sore throat was allergies. A sleepless night was too much tea. The numbness creeping down my right leg had been a funny little twinge until I dropped a casserole dish because my knee gave out. The surgeon called it lumbar spinal stenosis. I called it extremely bad timing. Lauren called it the reason we're done pretending you're fine. She said it with love. I knew that. She also said it while taking my car keys out of my hand. That morning, she surveyed me in the doorway. "Are those the pants we discussed? They have an elastic waist. They're white. They're cream. You're going to a hospital. I don't plan to roll around on the floor. Mom, nobody plans to roll around on a hospital floor." I reached for my coat. She took it first and held it open for me. That was Lauren. She could make tenderness feel like an argument she had won. Outside, the October air had a clean bite to it. My condo complex was quiet except for a landscaping truck idling near the mailboxes. Lauren took my elbow on the front step. "I can walk," I said. I know, you're gripping me, I'm touching you, with all 5 fingers. She let go so quickly that I nearly laughed. Then my right foot caught the edge of the walkway and her hand shot back. Neither of us said anything. Her SUV smelled like leather, peppermint gum, and the rosemary hand cream Diane gave everyone at Christmas. The passenger seat had already been pushed back for me. There was a small pillow for my lower back and a grocery bag containing what Lauren called my recovery essentials: ginger candies, lip balm, tissues, and a stainless steel water bottle the size of a fire extinguisher. "You did all this?" I asked. "Mostly." That word passed quickly enough that I almost let it go. What does mostly mean? Diane helped me make the list. "Oh, she had that hip procedure 2 years ago, remember? She knows what hospitals don't tell you to bring." I adjusted the pillow. "This isn't a hip procedure. I know it's not a hip procedure. She had twilight sedation and went home before dinner. I'm aware. I'll be under general anesthesia while a man works near my spinal cord." Lauren put the car in reverse. "And now I'm aware that you've been reading terrifying things online." I read the booklet they gave me. Diane was trying to help. I didn't say she wasn't. There were so many conversations between Lauren and me that ended with those 6 words. I didn't say she wasn't. I didn't say you couldn't. I didn't say I was upset. They were little trapdoors we both used. On the drive, Lauren talked about the schedule. Check-in at 7, surgery at 9. Dr. Shaw expected 2.5 hours, followed by recovery. If everything went well, I would stay one night. Lauren would bring me home the next afternoon and spend the first several nights in my guest room. "I changed the sheets," I said. "You weren't supposed to." "I changed sheets, Lauren. I didn't move a piano. You could have asked me." "You were working." "I still have hands when I'm working." "You told me this week was chaos. It is chaos. So I changed the sheets." She tapped the steering wheel at a red light. "You do this thing where you refuse help and then quietly exhaust yourself." I wasn't exhausted. "You took a nap at 4. I am 68. A nap at 4 is one of the few constitutional rights I have left." That got a laugh out of her. A real one, sudden and unwilling. I looked out the window so she wouldn't see how pleased I was. Lauren had been busy for most of her adult life. College, her first job, the better job, the wedding, the house, Caleb's expanding architecture firm, her promotion at the marketing agency. I had admired her motion even when it meant catching her in fragments. She called while driving. She visited between errands. She listened with one eye on the clock and compensated by remembering details later. Or she used to. Lately, it seemed Diane got the unhurried version of her. Diane lived 15 minutes from Lauren and Caleb in a broad brick house where the kitchen island was large enough to land a helicopter. She had a talent for making ordinary gatherings feel scheduled by the Department of State. Dinner was at 6:30. Serving dishes were warmed, and nobody ever asked where the scissors were. I liked Diane. That was part of the problem. It would have been easier if she were unkind. Instead, she sent me birthday cards on time and once drove 40 minutes to return the scarf I had left after Christmas dinner. She was helpful in a way that made help look like a natural resource she personally controlled. At the hospital, Lauren parked near the outpatient entrance and removed a collapsible wheelchair from the back. "No," I said. "Yes, I can walk from here." "You had trouble on the sidewalk." I caught my shoe. "Sit down. I don't want to be wheeled into spinal surgery like a Roman emperor." I don't think Roman emperors used hospital wheelchairs. You don't know everything. "No, but I called ahead, and they recommended this." Who recommended it? She was busy snapping the footrests into place. Lauren. The nurse. What nurse? A nurse. Mom. Please. I sat, mostly because the cold had sharpened the ache in my leg. Lauren tucked my coat around my knees, which was both sweet and irritating. Then she pushed me through the sliding doors too fast and clipped the edge of a rubber mat. "Roman Emperor down," I said. "Could you behave for 10 minutes?" I could, but imagine the pressure. Inside, the lobby lights were painfully bright. A television mounted in one corner played a morning show with the captions on. 2 men in work jackets drank vending machine coffee. An older woman argued softly with the parking validation machine while her companion pretended not to know her. Lauren parked me near a fake ficus and went to the desk. I could hear her giving my name, date of birth, and surgeon as if she had studied for an exam. My phone buzzed in my purse. Ruth had sent a photograph of a lopsided muffin beside the words, "Breakfast of Champions. Call me when you're out. Love you." I typed, "I will. If they accidentally make me taller, I'm suing." Before I could send it, Lauren returned with a clipboard. Forms. I filled these out online. They need one signature. There were 5 yellow tabs. You said one category of signature. I signed where she pointed. On the emergency contact page, her name and number were already printed first. Under alternate contact was Diane Holloway. I tapped it with the pen. Why is Diane here? In case I can't answer. When would you not answer? I don't know. If I'm talking to the doctor, if my phone dies, it's a backup. You'll be in the building. I may have to leave for an hour. The pen stopped in my hand. Leave? I have a client presentation at 11:30. I told you about it. No, you told me this week was chaos. I'll take it from the family lounge. If the Wi-Fi's bad, I may have to go to the office, but Caleb's bringing me right back. You said you'd be here. I will be here. I'm checking you in. I'll see you before they take you back, and I'll be here when you wake up. The words were perfect. Her tone was perfect. Only the space between them felt unreliable. Then she crouched in front of me and took my hand. Mom, nothing is going to happen. I looked down at her. A strand of hair had escaped completely and lay against her cheek. She looked tired and determined, and so much like the little girl who used to climb into my bed during thunderstorms that I hated myself for wanting more from her. All right, I said. At the admissions desk, the nurse fastened the bracelet around my wrist and asked the question. Lauren gave her Diane. I gave her permission. Afterward, while Lauren bent over the tablet confirming Diane's number, I sent Ruth the unfinished message. Then I added, Lauren says, Diane knows the whole plan. 3 dots appeared almost immediately. I locked my phone before Ruth's answer came through. A nurse in navy scrubs opened a door and called my name. Lauren moved behind the wheelchair. That's us. The phrase irritated me more than it should have. Apparently, we were having spinal surgery together. The nurse introduced herself as Monique and wheeled me through a set of double doors, although Lauren's hands were already on the handles. Lauren followed with my purse on one shoulder and her own enormous leather tote on the other. In the preoperative room, Monique handed me a gown, socks with rubber treads, and a plastic bag for my clothes. Everything off, she said. Gown opens in the back, just as fashion intended. Monique smiled. Lauren pointed toward the bathroom. I can dress myself, I told her. I wasn't offering. You were directing. I was showing you where the bathroom is. It's the only other door. Monique found something fascinating on her computer screen. I changed slowly. Bending sent a hot, narrow pain from my lower back through my right hip. The gown had 3 ties, none positioned where human arms naturally reached. After several attempts, I opened the door with one hand holding it shut behind me. Lauren looked up from her phone. You need help. I need whoever designs these things to spend eternity wearing one. She tied it without comment. Her fingers were cool against my back. When she finished, she smoothed the fabric over my shoulders and kissed the side of my head. See, she said, that wasn't terrible. I've had warmer kidnappings. Monique settled me on the bed and began the familiar sequence of questions. Name, birth date, allergies, last food, last liquid. Why I was there. To have my back repaired. In your own words, what procedure are you having? I looked at Lauren. She answered immediately. Laminectomy at L4 to L5 with possible. Monique held up one finger, still smiling. I need Ms. Mercer to tell me. Lauren's mouth closed. It was a small correction, professionally delivered, but I liked Monique for it. Lumbar decompression, I said. Dr. Shaw is removing whatever is pressing on the nerves so I can stop walking like a shopping cart with a bad wheel. Perfect. The description or the shopping cart? Both. Lauren sat in the vinyl chair beside the bed while Monique took my blood pressure. Her phone vibrated twice inside her tote. She ignored it the first time. The second time, she pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and turned it face down on her thigh. "Little high," Monique said. "I'm in a backless dress waiting for strangers to cut me open." "That'll do it." Lauren leaned forward. "How high?" "Not concerning for the circumstances. She normally runs low. I normally wear pants." Monique gave me another smile, but Lauren didn't. She was watching the monitor as if she could negotiate the numbers downward. A second nurse came to place the IV. He was a broad man named Dennis who said "small pinch" shortly before delivering a pinch large enough to have its own zip code. Lauren winced more than I did. When he left, she said, "He was rough. He got it in. He should have warned you." "He did. Small pinch is dishonest. You tell me something will take 5 minutes, and I lose an afternoon. That's different." I reached for her hand. "I'm all right." She laced her fingers through mine, but she was still looking toward the door Dennis had used. That was the maddening thing about Lauren. She could miss what I needed while defending me against things that hadn't hurt. My phone buzzed inside my purse. Lauren handed it over. Ruth had written, "Of course Diane knows the plan. Diane probably has laminated copies of the plan. Do you know the plan?" I bit the inside of my cheek. "What?" Lauren asked. "Ruth, what did she say?" "She wished me luck. Let me tell her the timing changed. I can tell her." Lauren held out her hand anyway. "Your IV. My other hand still works." She lowered hers. "Fine." I wrote back. "I know enough. Going in soon." That answer bothered me the moment I sent it. It sounded petulant, and Ruth had a bloodhound's nose for concealed trouble. Sure enough, the dots appeared. "Don't pick a fight while wearing an open-back gown," she wrote. "You lack tactical advantage." I laughed out loud. Lauren looked wounded. "What is she saying? That my outfit makes me vulnerable? I don't understand the two of you. You're not supposed to. That's why friendship survives." Her phone vibrated again. This time she read the message and stood. "I need to call Marcy. 2 minutes." "The presentation?" "There's an issue with the deck. Go. I can call from here. Then I'll have to hear phrases like market penetration while waiting for anesthesia." She hesitated. 2 minutes. I'll time you." She took her tote and stepped into the hallway. The door whispered shut behind her. Monique returned to attach another bag to my IV. She looked at the empty chair, then at me. "Your daughter coming back?" "She's handling something for work." Monique nodded without judgment. People in hospitals probably developed excellent faces for hearing explanations they hadn't requested. "She'll be here when I wake up," I added. "I'm sure she will." That was worse somehow. I looked toward the narrow window in the door. Lauren stood across the hall with her back to me, one hand pressed over her free ear. Even through the glass, I could see the change in her posture. Her shoulders were straight, her chin lifted. Whatever uncertainty she carried around me had vanished. Work gave her clear problems, measurable results, and colleagues who appreciated urgency. Mothers were less tidy. Dr. Shaw arrived wearing blue scrubs and the calm expression of a man who had never misplaced his keys. He was in his early 50s, compact with rimless glasses and a voice that made every sentence sound considered. He reviewed the procedure, drew a mark near my lower spine, and asked if I had questions. "What are the odds I wake up and discover you accidentally made me good at tennis?" "Extremely low." "Then I think your booklet oversold this." He smiled. "Any real questions?" I had several. I had asked them all at previous appointments, written down his answers, and read them again at 2 a.m. But questions had a way of growing new heads when you were wearing a hospital bracelet. How soon will I know if it worked? The leg symptoms may improve immediately. The surgical pain will take time. Recovery isn't always a straight line, and if it doesn't work, we'll address what's in front of us. Today, I'm optimistic. I nodded. He rested his hand briefly on the bed rail. "I'll take good care of you." My eyes burned without warning. I looked down at the blanket. "Thank you." He left just as Lauren came back, still typing. "You missed Dr. Shaw." Her thumb stopped. "He was here already? He got tired of waiting for the slideshow." "Mom." He answered my questions. Did he say anything new? No. Still no tennis. She sat and opened her mouth to ask something else, but the anesthesiologist arrived. More questions followed, more confirmations. Lauren repeated the phrase, general anesthesia, under her breath as though she had only now understood it. A transport aide appeared at the door. "Ready?" he asked. "No," I said. Everyone laughed except me. Lauren stood so fast her tote slid off the chair. She caught it with her knee, shoved it upright, then bent over me. "I'll be here," she said. I could smell her peppermint gum. "You have your presentation. I'll handle it." "How?" "I'll handle it, Mom." There was that phrase again, meant to calm me by ending the conversation. I touched the side of her face. "Your hair is falling down." She laughed, but her eyes filled. "Of course, that's what you're worried about. I'm your mother. It's my sacred duty to mention your hair during major medical events." She kissed me. This time, she held on. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you, too." The aide raised the bed rail and began rolling me out. Lauren walked beside us until a red line on the floor marked where family had to stop. "I'll see you after," she called. I lifted my hand. The ceiling panels passed above me in neat white rectangles. At the operating room doors, I thought of Frank, not dramatically, not as if he were waiting on the other side, but as he had been on ordinary mornings. Bare feet on the kitchen tile, reading glasses low on his nose, asking where I had put the coffee filters when they had been in the same cabinet for 19 years. He would have been frightened. He would have made too many jokes. He would not have left. Inside the operating room, the air was cold enough to raise bumps on my arms. People introduced themselves from behind masks. Someone tucked warmed blankets around me. Someone else placed a cushion beneath my knees. The anesthesiologist leaned into view. "I'm giving you something to help you relax. I'm already delightful company. I can see that." The medication entered my arm with a faint, cold sting. The lights softened at the edges. I tried to picture Lauren in the family lounge, laptop open, refusing to let anyone move her until I was safely awake. I held that picture because I wanted it, not because I believed it. Then everything disappeared. I came back in pieces, a beeping sound, pressure around my arm, a dry tongue that seemed too large for my mouth, pain, deep and bright, fixed at the center of my back. Someone said my name. I opened my eyes, closed them, and tried again. A recovery nurse leaned over me. "Vivian, surgery is over." "You did very well." I swallowed. "Lauren? She's been updated." That wasn't an answer, but I couldn't gather enough breath to say so. The room drifted away and returned. Later, I was being moved. Elevator lights slid overhead. A nurse asked me to rate my pain, and I said 7 because 10 seemed theatrical. She gave me something through the IV. By the time I reached a private room, daylight had shifted from white to pale gold. I heard a chair scrape beside the window. "Vivian?" The voice was warm, controlled, and entirely wrong. Diane Holloway stood beside my bed in a camel-colored coat, holding my overnight bag. A neatly tabbed folder rested under her arm. "Oh, good," she said, relief loosening her face. "You're awake." I tried to lift my head. Pain stopped me. "Where's Lauren?" Diane set my bag carefully on the chair. She had to go into the office. The presentation became a bit of a situation. I stared at her. "She asked me to come," Diane added, "just until she can get back. The recovery medication made everything slow except the hurt." "Of course she did," I said. Diane's expression changed, just slightly, not enough to call it offense. Diane was too disciplined to be visibly offended in a hospital room, especially while the patient was attached to 3 different machines. But she heard the edge in my voice. She wanted to stay, she said. Apparently, the client insisted on having the whole team there in person. "My daughter is the head of the team." "Yes." So I imagine they would insist. Diane placed the folder on the windowsill and hung her coat behind the door. Underneath it, she wore navy slacks and a cream sweater, as if she had dressed specifically to reassure a loan officer. "How are you feeling?" Like someone cut into my back. That would be the medically accurate explanation. I looked at her, surprised. The corner of her mouth moved. "You aren't the only person allowed to make inappropriate jokes." A nurse came in before I could answer. She introduced herself as April and checked my blood pressure, the dressing on my back, the IV, and the inflatable sleeves squeezing my lower legs. "Those are to prevent blood clots," Diane told me. I assumed they were trying to juice me. April laughed. "You're going to do fine. When can I have water? As soon as we're sure your stomach's settled. Ice chips first." Diane immediately reached for the plastic cup on my tray. April handed it to me instead. "Small amounts, Ms. Mercer." I took one chip. My throat felt scraped raw. "How did it go?" I asked. "Nobody has told me how it went." "Dr. Shaw said everything went as expected. He spoke with your daughter after surgery, and she spoke with me," Diane added. "She said the nerve was more compressed than they anticipated, but he was pleased." I held the ice on my tongue and looked from Diane to April. "Was there a complication?" "No," April said. "Your procedure ran a little longer, but that can happen." "How much longer?" "About 40 minutes. 40 minutes was short enough to sound harmless after it was over, and long enough to become a lifetime if you were waiting for someone you loved." I wondered where Lauren had been during those 40 minutes. In the family lounge? In her car? At a conference table while someone argued about colors on a graph? Diane pulled the chair closer. "Lauren called me as soon as Dr. Shaw came out. 'How did you get my bag?' She left it at the front desk for me. Of course she had arranged the handoff. My robe, my slippers, my respectable underwear, transferred between mothers like materials changing shifts. Did she leave before I was out of recovery? I don't know exactly when she left. That meant yes." Diane sat with her hands folded over one knee. Her wedding ring caught the late afternoon light. She'd been divorced for nearly 20 years, but still wore a narrow gold band on her right hand. Once, after 2 glasses of wine at Christmas, she had told me she kept it because she liked the ring more than she had liked the marriage. "I know I'm not who you expected to see," she said. The decent answer was waiting. I appreciated her coming. None of this was her fault. Lauren was under pressure. Work emergencies happened. I had said variations of those things so many times that the words had smooth edges. "No," I said, "you aren't." Diane nodded once. Then she stood, took the ice cup from my unsteady hand, and held it where I could reach without spilling. She did not defend Lauren again. That small mercy made me feel ashamed of my sharpness. "Thank you," I said. "You're welcome." The pain medication pulled me under in short, unpleasant drops. Each time I woke, Diane was doing something quiet, reading messages, refilling the ice, speaking to April in the hallway. Once she had my blue folder open beside her own tabbed one. "What's that?" I asked. She followed my gaze. "Lauren emailed me the discharge instructions and your medication schedule, so I printed them. My discharge instructions don't exist yet. The preliminary instructions. There are preliminary instructions. The surgeon's office sent them last week." I stared at the folder. "I can put this away," she said. "No. Apparently everyone needs a copy." Diane closed it. At 6, April helped me sit on the edge of the bed. The movement sent a fierce bolt through my spine and turned the room the color of dirty water. I'm going to be sick. Diane was beside me with the basin before April could reach it. Nothing came up except spit and a noise I hoped never to hear myself make again. "All right," April said, rubbing the space between my shoulders without touching the incision. "Breathe. We'll take it slowly." "I don't want to take it slowly. I want to lie down. We need to see if you can stand. I have already demonstrated excellent lying down." Diane crouched in front of me. "Vivian, look at me. I'd rather not, fair enough. Look at the button on my sweater." The button was pearl-colored and perfectly centered. I fixed my eyes on it while the nausea rolled through me. "That's it," she said. "Just breathe." Her voice had none of Lauren's tight insistence. She did not tell me I was fine. She waited until I actually was. With April on one side and Diane on the other, I stood for perhaps 8 seconds. My right leg trembled, but the familiar burning pain that had run from my hip to my ankle was gone. In its place was a raw heaviness across my back. "Do you feel the difference?" April asked. "I feel many differences. I'm reserving judgment. That's wise." When I was back in bed, Diane adjusted my socks. "I can do that," I said. "You cannot reach your feet. I still object in principle." "Noted." I looked at the top of her smooth silver blonde head. "You don't have to stay." "I know. Caleb could come get you," he offered. "I mean it. I'm going to sleep. Then I'll read." "You don't even like hospitals." "Nobody likes hospitals, Vivian. That would be a strange hobby." I closed my eyes. "Lauren told you I hate being fussed over, didn't she?" There was a pause. "She said you value your independence." "That sounds nicer." She was trying to explain what kind of help you would accept. "Did she ask me?" Diane stood and returned to the chair. "I don't know." "Yes, you do. I'm not going to criticize your daughter while you're coming out of anesthesia." "Why not?" "I might forget." "You won't." She was right. I wouldn't. At 7:15, Lauren came through the door carrying white roses wrapped in paper. Caleb followed with a bakery bag and the apologetic expression of a man arriving after an argument he had not personally started. Lauren crossed the room in 4 quick steps. "Oh, Mom." She bent to hug me, then stopped, afraid of my back. Her hands hovered near my shoulders before settling on the bed rail. "You look pale. I've always considered that my best color. How do you feel? Is the pain bad? Did you walk? What did Dr. Shaw say?" "I'm fine." Diane looked at me. I ignored her. Lauren kissed my forehead. "I'm so sorry. I tried to leave 3 times, and every time something else collapsed. The client hated the new campaign direction. Then Marcy pulled up the wrong deck, then the video link failed. It was a disaster." Caleb set the bakery bag on the counter. She was losing her mind. "You didn't need to come," I said. Lauren blinked. "Of course I needed to come. I mean, you didn't need to bring flowers." "Oh." She glanced at them as if she had forgotten she was holding them. "The gift shop was closing." "They're lovely." They were. White roses had also been Frank's funeral flowers, but Lauren had been too distraught that week to remember anything except getting through it. I would not punish her for forgetting what grief had erased. Caleb found a plastic pitcher and arranged them with the serious concentration he applied to household tasks. He was tall, dark-haired, and gentle in a way that sometimes resembled cowardice. I liked him. I also knew he could stand inside a difficult moment for several minutes without disturbing it. Diane gathered her coat. "Now that you're here, I'll head out." Lauren turned. "Wait. I thought you could stay until visiting hours end." "I can," Diane said, "but I assumed you'd want time with your mother." "I do. Lauren checked the clock. "I have to be home by 9 to revise the deck for tomorrow." There was no hesitation before Diane looked at me. "Would you like me to stay?" The question landed gently, but it landed. Lauren had arranged my life all day without asking it once. "I'll be asleep," I said. "That isn't an answer," Diane said. Caleb became deeply interested in the roses. "No," I said, "you should go home." Diane put on her coat. "All right?" Lauren's face tightened. "Mom, I don't want you alone. I'm in a hospital. If I'm alone, they're doing something wrong. That's not what I mean." "What do you mean?" "I mean, one of us should be here. One of us." The phrase was generous enough to include everyone and specific enough to choose no one. Diane kissed my cheek. "Call me if you need anything." "I won't." "I know. Call anyway." She left after reminding Caleb to move the bakery bag away from my overnight bag because there was chocolate inside and my robe was cream. Naturally, she knew the color of my robe. Caleb sat in her chair. Lauren remained standing. "We can stay another hour," he said. Lauren looked at him. "You don't have to." "I know." Something passed between them, quick and private. He was offering to absorb her decision so she would not have to name it. "What's in the bag?" I asked. "Lemon cookies," Caleb said. "Your favorite." They're her favorite, Lauren corrected. They are. Diane loves lemon. Caleb looked stricken. I thought Vivian did. I like lemon, I said. Everyone likes lemon when the alternative is watching a grown man apologize to his mother-in-law's surgical patient over a cookie. Lauren finally sat on the edge of the chair, though she kept her coat on. She asked about the pain again, and this time I told her it was a 5. She asked whether the leg burning was gone. I said I thought so. She told me how relieved she was, then spent 10 minutes describing the presentation disaster in detail. I listened. I even asked whether Marcy had found the correct deck. At 8, April brought medication. At 8:10, Caleb stood and stretched. At 8:12, Lauren looked at her phone. At 8:14, I gave her what she was waiting for. You should go. We don't have to. You have work. I could stay. I looked at her. Could you? The question came out more plainly than I intended. Lauren's mouth parted. For 1 second, I thought she might take off her coat. Then her phone vibrated in her hand. She silenced it without looking. I'll be back first thing in the morning. Before rounds. Drive safely. She kissed me, carefully this time. Caleb squeezed my hand and said he would bring proper coffee when I was allowed to have it. At the door, Lauren turned. If you need anything, call me. Or Diane, if I don't answer. There it was again, offered as reassurance. The door closed behind them. April came in a few minutes later to check the IV. She glanced at the empty chairs but said nothing. My phone lay on the tray beside me. I picked it up and opened Ruth's waiting message. Do you want me there? No advice, no plan, just the question. I stared at it until the words blurred, then typed with one finger. Not tonight. But thank you for asking. Ruth answered so quickly, I wondered if she had been holding the phone. I'm asking again tomorrow, I wrote. I'll be home tomorrow. That wasn't what I said. The night nurse entered before I had to answer. Her name was Celeste, and she moved with the quiet certainty of someone who had seen every possible form of human embarrassment. She checked the dressing on my back, helped me to the bathroom, and pretended not to notice that it took me 5 minutes to lower myself onto the toilet. Standing was worse. Push from the rail, she instructed. Don't pull on me. I've been told not to push people away. This is not the night to work on that. At 2 a.m, I woke with pain so sharp I thought something had torn. Celeste checked me, repositioned the pillows, and explained that the medication had worn off because I had declined the midnight dose. I was asleep. That's why we wake you. Waking sleeping people to help them rest seems poorly designed. So does letting pain get ahead of us. She brought the medication and 2 crackers. I ate one in tiny dry bites while the dark window reflected the hospital bed, the machines, and my own pale face. There was a recliner beside the bed where Frank would have slept badly. He would have complained about the chair until a nurse offered another one, then insisted the first was perfect. At 2:30, he would have found coffee. By 3, he would know where the clean blankets were kept. I let myself picture him for a minute. Then I stopped, because grief could still find fresh places to cut if I gave it enough room. At 6:15, Lauren called. Did I wake you? No. Were you sleeping? Not anymore. I'm sorry. How was the night? Long. Did you get up? Twice, that's good. It lacked glamour. She exhaled and I heard a car door close. Are you driving? I'm in the parking garage. The hospital parking garage? A pause followed. Not long. Long enough. My office. We have an 8 o'clock meeting with the client. I thought you were coming before rounds. I know. I thought rounds were later. You made me write 6:30 in the blue folder. I know what I wrote. Then why did you think they were later? I didn't think. I was up until 3 fixing this disaster. Her voice cracked on the last word. Not with tears, exactly. With exhaustion. I looked at the empty recliner. Go to your meeting, I said. I'm going to come right after. Diane can sit with you until then. Diane does not need to sit with me. She's already on her way. I closed my eyes. Why? Because you're alone. I'm talking to a nurse who watched me urinate at 2 in the morning. We're practically engaged. Mom, don't make this difficult. There are sentences that end arguments, and there are sentences that quietly decide who is causing them. I have to go, she continued. I'll call when the meeting ends. I love you. I love you too. The line disconnected. Diane arrived at 6:40 carrying coffee she knew I could not drink yet and an overnight bag large enough for a weekend in Vermont. I brought a few things, she said. For whom? You. My things are there. I pointed to the cream robe protruding from my bag. Diane followed my finger. I brought loose clothes for going home. Lauren said you packed white pants. Cream. She said you would say that. My daughter and her husband's mother had been discussing the impracticality of my pants. Diane placed the new bag on the bench. I can take it back to the car. What did you bring? Black knit pants, a zip-up sweatshirt, socks, and a front-closing bra. I stared at her. The nurse at my hip surgery told me not to wear anything I had to pull over my head. My surgery was on the opposite end of my body. I'm aware. Also, that is not my bra. No, it's new. You bought me a bra? You and I are roughly the same size. Diane. I left the tags on. There was no answer to a 66-year-old woman buying you recovery underwear before sunrise. I turned my face into the pillow and started laughing. It hurt my back, which made me groan, which made Diane call the nurse, which made me laugh harder. By the time breakfast arrived, we had achieved an uneasy truce. Diane buttered my toast without asking, then caught herself and handed me the knife. Thank you, I said. I'm learning. Dr. Shaw came in shortly after 7. He examined my incision, tested the strength in both feet, and asked me to raise my right leg. The old burning pain did not come. I lifted it higher. There she is, he said. The relief on Diane's face was immediate and unguarded. It was not a performance for Lauren. It belonged entirely to her. So it worked? I asked. The decompression went very well. You'll have surgical pain, muscle weakness, and fatigue. Don't measure progress hour by hour. When can I go home? Once physical therapy clears you and you can manage the stairs you have, one step at the entrance, then you should be home by early afternoon. Diane opened her folder. I wanted to hate the folder. I truly did. But she asked about showering, the dressing, warning signs, and whether the anti-inflammatory medication in my bag could be resumed. They were sensible questions. 2 of them I had forgotten. Dr. Shaw answered each one, then looked at me. Anything else? Do I get to make any decisions, or have I been acquired by a small corporation? He smiled cautiously. Diane closed the folder. She's joking. No, I'm not. The room went still. Dr. Shaw looked between us. You are in charge of your recovery, Ms. Mercer. We're all here to support that. Diane lowered her eyes. Of course. After he left, she took the folder to the windowsill and put it beneath her coat. That was unkind, I said. It was. I meant what I said, but I didn't have to embarrass you. No. I'm sorry. She adjusted the sleeve of her sweater. Thank you. I waited for her to tell me she was only helping, that Lauren asked her, that I should be grateful. Instead, she peeled the foil lid off a container of orange juice and set it within my reach. Why did you come? I asked. Lauren asked me to. You could have said no. Yes. So why didn't you? She sat down. Because she sounded frightened. About me? About everything. Your surgery. Her presentation. Letting you down. She didn't sound frightened when she left. Lauren rarely sounds like what she feels. That was true enough to annoy me. Diane picked a thread from her sleeve. She said you would be more comfortable with someone who didn't hover. You bought me a bra. I said I was learning. Physical therapy arrived at 9. The therapist, a cheerful woman named Tasha, taught me how to get out of bed without twisting and made me walk the hallway with a rolling walker. Diane followed 6 feet behind us until Tasha stopped and turned. She's safe with me. I know. Then wait here. Diane returned to the room. I liked Tasha, too. The walk exhausted me. By the time we reached the nurse's station, my knees felt hollow. But my right foot landed flat instead of dragging. Each step was painful and astonishing. "You're doing well," Tasha said. "I was hoping for prodigy. You're not there yet." On the way back, we passed a waiting area. Through the glass partition, I saw Diane on the phone. Her back was turned, but her voice carried. "No, she's doing very well. Yes, Dr. Shaw came. I wrote everything down." A pause. "You need to come when you said you would, Lauren." I slowed. Tasha glanced at me. "Need a rest?" "No," Diane continued, quieter now. "Because she's your mother." I walked on before I heard the answer. Lauren arrived at 11:40 with her laptop under one arm and guilt arranged across her face. "I'm here," she announced. Diane looked at the clock. Lauren saw her do it. The meeting went long. "Of course it did," Diane said. "Can I talk to you outside?" "No," I said. They both turned toward me. "If the discussion is about me, have it where I can hear." "It's not about you," Lauren said. Diane lifted one eyebrow. Lauren set her laptop on the chair. "Fine." I wanted to thank Diane and tell her she can go home. "I'm going to your mother's condo," Diane said. "The grocery delivery is between noon and 2. "What grocery delivery?" I asked. Lauren removed her coat. "Just basics. Soup, yogurt, fruit, easy things. My refrigerator contains food. It contains mustard, olives, and one suspicious chicken breast. It was thawing. It was becoming an ecosystem." Diane picked up her purse. "I'll meet you there." "You have a key?" I asked. Lauren gave me hers. Something in my chest tightened. "She's only dropping off the groceries," Lauren said quickly, "and moving a few things so you don't have to bend." "What things?" "The everyday pans, the mixing bowls, your toiletries." "Mom, it's exactly what the instructions say. The instructions told you to send Diane into my home?" "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Turn everything into a rejection." Diane's hand froze on the strap of her purse. I could see the moment she wanted to disappear. So could Lauren, apparently, because she softened her voice. "We are trying to make this easier for you." I looked at my daughter, at the coat she had not taken off, at the laptop still tucked against the chair as if it might call her back at any moment. "All right," I said. Diane left with the key. Lauren helped me dress in the black knit pants and zip-up sweatshirt. The bra stayed in the bag. Discharge took another hour. Lauren listened carefully, asked good questions, and typed notes into her phone. When the wheelchair arrived, she packed my belongings with brisk efficiency. On the ride home, I leaned against the small pillow and watched familiar streets pass under a cold blue sky. Lauren reached over at a red light and squeezed my hand. "We made it," she said. I squeezed back because I knew what she meant. When we opened my front door, the first thing I saw was a yellow note taped to the hallway wall. "Walker parking here." Beyond it, more yellow squares marked a path through my home. Medications, clean towels, daily dishes. Diane stood in my kitchen beside 3 open cabinets. "I hope this helps," she said. My saucepans were on the counter. My mixing bowls were on the dining table. The framed photograph of Frank that usually sat beside the phone had been moved to make room for a medication organizer. For one dizzy second, I did not recognize my own home. Put Frank back. Diane followed my gaze to the photograph. Of course. She picked it up carefully, but Lauren stepped around her. "We moved it 6 inches, Mom. Put it back." Lauren's face tightened. Diane placed the picture beside the phone, exactly where it had been. Frank smiled out at us from a summer 12 years earlier, sunburned across the nose and holding a fishing hat he had refused to wear. "Thank you," I said. Diane nodded. Lauren wheeled me farther into the room. "The medication organizer needs to be somewhere visible. It can be visible without displacing my husband. No one was displacing Dad. You moved him to put pills there. I moved a photograph so you wouldn't accidentally take 2 doses of oxycodone. I can read a clock. People make mistakes when they're in pain. Then put the pills somewhere else." "I already did," Diane said. She slid the organizer to the opposite side of the phone. There was room. There had always been room. Lauren walked into the kitchen, opened one cabinet and shut it harder than necessary. This is going to be a very long week. I gripped the walker, standing in my own hallway while my daughter announced the burden of caring for me should have made me angry. Instead, I wanted to reassure her. The urge came so automatically that the words were nearly out before I stopped them. Diane removed the yellow note from the wall. "Leave that," Lauren said. "She needs to know where to put the walker." "I have lived here for 9 years," I said. "It's so it doesn't become a tripping hazard. If I leave my walker in the middle of the floor, I deserve whatever follows. You do not." I was joking. This isn't funny. Some of it is. Lauren rubbed both hands over her face. Diane peeled off the remaining labels without being asked. She stacked the saucepans in the cabinet beneath the counter, rather than the low drawer where I usually kept them. The mixing bowls went onto a waist-high shelf. She moved slowly now, showing me each item before placing it. "Is this all right?" she asked. "Yes." "The everyday glasses?" "Second shelf. That's above your shoulder." "I plan to use the plastic tumbler until I can reach." "Good." Lauren stood with her arms folded. That was what the note said. "The note didn't ask me," I said. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Diane handed Lauren a bag of yogurt containers. "Refrigerator." Lauren took it. We settled into a strange domestic choreography. I moved from the hallway to the recliner in 6-inch increments, while Lauren hovered at my elbow and Diane cleared the path ahead as if guiding an aircraft. By the time I sat, sweat had dampened the back of my neck. "You're pale," Lauren said. "So everyone keeps telling me." "Pain?" 6. "When did you last have medication?" Diane opened the folder. "Don't," I said. Both women froze. "I had it at 11:30. The next dose is at 3:30 if I need it." Diane closed the folder again. "All right." Lauren stared at me. "You don't have to prove anything. I answered your question. I know that tone." "What tone?" "The tone that says you're going to refuse help just to establish a point. The only point I'm trying to establish is that I know when I swallowed a pill." Diane picked up her purse. "I'm going to head home." Lauren turned. "Already? Your mother is settled. We haven't done dinner. There's soup. You said you'd stay. I said I would help her get home." Lauren looked toward me, then lowered her voice as if my surgery had affected my hearing. "Can you at least come back tomorrow morning? If Vivian wants me to." They both looked at me. It was the first time all day that the decision had been placed squarely in my hands. I should have felt grateful. Instead, I felt cornered by it. "Come if you'd like," I said. Diane's expression told me she heard the difference between that and yes. "I'll call first." She kissed my cheek, thanked Lauren for nothing in particular, and left. The condominium became very quiet. Lauren put her laptop on the dining table before she took off her coat. "I only need to answer a few messages," she said. "Go ahead, I'm still here with you. I can see you. I mean, I'm not working. I don't know what that means. It means if you need something, interrupt me." She opened the laptop. I watched the blue light come across her face. Her fingers began moving. A muscle relaxed in her jaw. I turned on the television with the sound low. A man in an apron was explaining how to roast a chicken beneath its own skin. The method seemed both complicated and personal. 20 minutes later, I needed the bathroom. I considered waiting. That frightened me more than the pain did. "Lauren?" Her fingers stopped instantly. "What? I need to get up." She was beside me before I had pushed down the footrest. She positioned the walker, held my elbow, and repeated Tasha's instructions, almost word for word. Nose over toes, push from the chair, don't twist. Did Diane print those too? "Mom, I'm doing it." The first attempt failed. My legs shook and I dropped back into the recliner with a cry I could not hide. Lauren went white. "Did you hurt your incision?" "No, are you sure?" "No, I'm lying for the excitement." "Stop it!" Her voice was sharp enough to startle us both. She crouched in front of me. "Please stop joking for 1 minute and tell me if you're hurt." Her eyes were wet. I had not noticed how scared she was until then. "My back hurts," I said. "The incision feels tight." Nothing popped. "Okay." She took a breath and we tried again. This time I stood. She walked with me to the bathroom and waited outside the door despite my objections. When I finished, she helped me wash my hands because reaching across the sink pulled at my back. She dried them one at a time. For a few minutes, she was simply my daughter. No phone, no Diane, no system for managing me. Just Lauren holding my damp fingers in a towel and trying not to let me see her fear. "I'm sorry," I said. "For what?" "For frightening you. You didn't. Your face says otherwise. My face is a liar. Runs in the family." She smiled. Then her laptop chimed from the dining room and the moment closed. Lauren heated soup for dinner and burned it to the bottom of the pan. We ate the unburned portion with crackers. She sat across from me at the small table, one foot tucked underneath her the way she had when she was younger. "Diane would have used a lower flame," she said. "I'm sure Diane has a dedicated soup protocol. She probably does. Laminated, color-coded." We laughed and I felt disloyal for enjoying it. After dinner, Lauren helped me change into the cream robe and settled me in bed with pillows under my knees. She placed the walker within reach, plugged in the long phone charger, and checked the path to the bathroom twice. "You thought of everything," I said. Diane thought of the nightlight. There was a small amber light plugged into the hallway outlet. I had not noticed it. "You can accept credit occasionally. I don't want credit. I want you safe." She bent and kissed my forehead. "Call me if you need anything. I'll be in the guest room." At midnight, I woke and heard her talking. The guest room wall shared the narrow hall with mine, but her voice came from the kitchen. I could not make out every word. "No, I can't leave tonight." A pause. I said, "I'll be in by 7. Another pause. I know what I said." I eased onto my side, trying not to listen. Then I heard, "Because my mother just had surgery, Marcy." The impatience in Lauren's voice was not for me. It was on my behalf. I lay back and stared into the dark. Love would have been easier if it behaved consistently. Lauren left at 6:20 the next morning. I knew because she came into my room wearing her coat, carrying a mug and smelling of the same rosemary cream as her car. "I didn't mean to wake you. You turned on the lamp. I thought you were awake. I am now." She set the mug on my nightstand. "Tea. Not too hot. You said you'd be here for several nights." "I will. I'm coming back after work. That isn't what I meant." "I know, but I have to deal with the client. Diane's coming at 7. "You called her?" She offered. "Did she?" Lauren looked away. I asked, and she said yes. I tried to push myself higher. The pain stopped me halfway. Lauren immediately adjusted the pillows. "Don't do that by yourself. I need you to listen." "I am listening. I don't want Diane taking care of me every time your office calls. This is one morning. It was yesterday, too. Yesterday was a crisis. And today, cleanup. At what point does work become ordinary again?" She stood very still. It was a cruel question. I knew the answer. Work was already ordinary. I was the interruption. "I can call in," she said, "not I'll stay. I can call in." I heard the cost she wanted me to calculate. "No," I said, "go." Her shoulders dropped with relief before she could stop them. "I'll be home by 5. Earlier if I can. Drive safely." She kissed me, picked up her tote, and left. Diane arrived at 7:03 with oatmeal, 2 library books, and no folder. "I called," she said from the doorway. "Your phone went straight to voicemail. It was charging in the bedroom. I can go if this isn't a good time." I stood behind the walker in my robe, tired from the trip down the hallway. "You brought oatmeal, with raisins on the side. Lauren said you don't like them cooked." I did not remember ever telling Lauren that. The fact that she remembered should have comforted me. "Come in." Diane stayed until 5:30. She did not hover. She read on the couch while I slept, helped me shower without making my nakedness feel like an emergency, and made grilled cheese for lunch. When I tried to put the plate in the dishwasher, she took it from me. "I can manage a plate." "I know." "Then let me." She handed it back. At 4, the doorbell rang. Diane answered it and returned carrying a rectangular laundry basket. "What is that?" Lauren asked Caleb to drop it off. "Why?" Diane looked into the basket. Laundry. I recognize laundry. Inside were Lauren's sweaters, Caleb's workout shirts, dish towels, and a pillowcase. A yellow note lay on top. "Thank you, Mom. Something to keep your hands busy while you rest. Love you." Diane read it over my shoulder. "She's joking," she said, but she didn't sound certain. I picked up one of Caleb's shirts. It smelled faintly of detergent, which meant the clothes were already clean. They only needed folding. For years, Lauren had brought laundry on Sundays when her dryer broke, when work was busy, when she and Caleb were leaving town, or when she simply preferred the way I folded sweaters. The basket was normal. That was what made it hurt. I sat in the recliner with the clean shirt across my lap and imagined my daughter picturing me there, medicated and stitched together, grateful to be useful. Diane reached for the basket. "I'll put this in the guest room." "No, you shouldn't be lifting anything. I'm not going to lift it. What are you going to do?" I folded the shirt once down the middle, then again across the chest, exactly the way Lauren liked it. "What I always do," I said. Diane took the shirt from my hands. "No," she said. "I thought you believed in keeping me active. I believe in walking every 2 hours. I do not believe in delivering household chores to someone 48 hours after spinal surgery. It's clean laundry. It's Caleb's clean laundry. I folded his shirts before. That does not improve the situation." She placed the shirt back in the basket and lifted the whole thing. "Where are you taking it?" "To my car. You are not stealing my daughter's laundry. I'll return it unfolded. That seems unnecessarily hostile. I can live with that." She carried the basket toward the door. "Diane." She stopped. "Put it in the guest room." "Why?" "Because Lauren will come looking for it, and I'm not interested in watching you two fight over my recovery. I'm not fighting with Lauren. You corrected her twice today before she left. She told you not to take your medication on an empty stomach while handing you tea for breakfast. I had crackers. You had 1 cracker. Were you counting?" "Yes." "Then perhaps you should have brought the folder." Her lips thinned. I expected an answer sharp enough to match mine. Instead, she carried the basket into the guest room and shut the door. When she came back, she sat on the couch but did not reopen her book. "I'm sorry," I said. "You say that quite often after you bite someone. I was raised to clean up after myself. Maybe stop biting. I'll consider it." She looked toward the hallway. "Did you really intend to fold all of that?" "Eventually." "Why?" I could have told her that folding laundry was calming, that I preferred my hands occupied, that the basket had been brought with affection, even if the affection was poorly timed. Instead, I said, "Because Lauren asked." She didn't ask. The yellow note remained on the end table. "Something to keep your hands busy." "You know what she meant," I said. "I know what she wrote. You don't have to interpret my daughter for me." "No. Apparently she assigned that job to me, too." The words landed between us. Diane looked almost startled that she had said them. I leaned back carefully. The muscles across my lower spine had begun to tighten, as if someone were pulling a drawstring under my skin. "Pain?" she asked. 4. It was 3 after lunch. It changes. "Do you want the medication?" "Not yet." She accepted that, although I could see the effort it required. Lauren texted at 5:15, "Running late. Please don't wait for dinner." At 6:10, she wrote, "Leaving in 20. At 6:40, Caleb called Diane. I heard her in the kitchen. No, she's comfortable. Yes, she ate." A pause. "I think Lauren should call her herself." Another pause. "No, I'm not upset with you." This was apparently unconvincing, because Diane spent the next few minutes saying Caleb's name in progressively flatter tones. When she returned, she had my water bottle. "Caleb says Lauren's still at the office." I assumed. He offered to come. "I don't need anyone to come. I should get home." "Yes." She set the water beside me. "Would you like me here tomorrow?" The truthful answer was complicated. Diane's presence made me feel managed, but she had also washed my hair over the kitchen sink because I could not stand in the shower long enough. She knew how to help without pulling on my arms. She had made me laugh about the bra. She handed plates back when I asked. "I don't know," I said. "All right." Most people treated "I don't know" as an opening for persuasion. Diane treated it as an answer. "I'll call in the morning," she said. "If you want me, say yes. If you don't, say no. Those are very strict rules. I thrive under structure." At the door, she looked toward the guest room. "Leave it," I said. "I'm leaving it. I saw you look. I'm allowed to look at laundry." After she left, I ate reheated soup alone. The saucepan Diane had moved to the higher cabinet was easy to reach. I resented that almost as much as the yellow notes. Lauren arrived at 8:20 carrying her laptop and a container of pasta. I brought dinner. I ate. "Oh." She set the container on the counter. I said not to wait. I didn't. She looked around. "Where's Diane?" "She went home. You're alone." "No, I've been keeping a retired jazz trio in the bathroom. Mom, you're here now." Lauren took off her coat. "I'm sorry. Today went off the rails. Did the client approve the campaign? For the next 5 minutes. Then congratulations." She studied me, uncertain whether I meant it. I did. That seemed difficult for her to understand. She went to wash her hands, then called from the hallway. "Where's the laundry?" "In the guest room." "You already finished it?" "No." She appeared in the doorway. "Why not?" There was no accusation in her voice, just surprise. I looked at her. "What?" she asked. "You brought me laundry 2 days after surgery. It's only folding. I thought you'd be bored. I have books." "I know, but you always say, 'Folding relaxes you.' I say that when you apologize for bringing it." Lauren's cheeks colored. "If you didn't want to do it, you could have left it." "I did. So what's the problem?" The answer was so large I could not find a clean edge to lift. "You're right," I said. "There isn't one." She stood there another moment, then went into the guest room. I heard the basket scrape across the floor. When she returned, she had folded 2 of Caleb's shirts and placed them on top. "There," she said lightly. "Team effort." I laughed despite myself. She smiled in relief and sat beside me. For the next half hour, she told me about a coworker who had accidentally sent the client an internal message describing one executive as the human beige wall. Lauren imitated Marcy's face so perfectly that my incision hurt from laughing. Then she checked her phone. "I need to sleep at home tonight." I stopped smiling. "Caleb has an early site visit, and we only brought 1 car. I'll come before work. You said you would stay here. I stayed last night. You said several nights. I know what I said, Mom, but you're doing well. Diane said you showered and walked 3 times. So Diane's reports have released you from duty? That's not fair. No, it isn't." She stood and paced to the kitchen. "What do you want me to do? I can't be in 2 places at once." "I didn't ask you to be. You didn't have to. You expected me to stay here because you told me you would. I didn't know work was going to explode." I looked at the cream robe closed around my body, the walker parked beside my chair, and the plastic hospital bracelet I still had not cut off. "Then go home. I don't want to leave when you're angry. You don't want to stay when I'm frightened either." The words were out before I could soften them. Lauren stared at me. I waited for her to tell me I was being dramatic. Instead, her face folded. She sat on the edge of the dining chair and covered her mouth with one hand. "I am trying," she said. It came out muffled and small. I believed her, that was the terrible part. Lauren was not withholding effort to punish me. What she was giving genuinely felt enormous to her. "I know," I said. "No, you don't. You act like every mistake means I don't love you. I have never said you don't love me. You make me feel it." "That's not the same thing. It feels the same." Her phone lit up on the table. Caleb's name appeared. Neither of us touched it. Finally, I said, "Go home to your husband." She wiped beneath her eyes. "Will you call if you need me?" "Yes. Promise, I promise." She hugged me carefully and left at 9. At 9:30, I needed the bathroom. I sat on the edge of the recliner, placed both feet beneath me, and pushed. My arms shook. The walker seemed farther away than it was. Nose over toes, I muttered. I stood. Halfway down the hallway, my right leg buckled. I caught the walker and hit the wall with my shoulder. The pain in my back flared so violently that my vision went white. For several seconds, I could not breathe. The phone was on the end table behind me. I stayed pressed against the wall until the pain eased from blinding to bearable. Then I moved one foot, then the other, and made it to the bathroom. When I returned, 20 minutes had passed. I did not call Lauren. I did not call Diane. I sat in the recliner until dawn, afraid to lie down because I was not sure I could get up again. At 6:50, Lauren texted. Running behind. Diane will be there at 7. She had not called first. Diane let herself in with Lauren's key at 7:05. She took one look at me and set her purse down. What happened? Nothing. Vivian, my leg gave way. When? Last night. Did you fall? No. Did you call anyone? No. Her face became very still. Why not? I handled it. You sat there all night. I slept. You're wearing the same clothes. I like this sweatshirt. Diane reached for the phone. Who are you calling? Dr. Shaw's office. No. You had sudden weakness. I had surgery 3 days ago, and your instructions say to report any change. My strength is back. She crouched in front of me. Push your foot against my hand. You are not qualified to examine me. I am qualified to notice that you're shaking. I pushed. My right foot held. Diane sat back on her heels. I'm calling anyway. I was too tired to fight. Dr. Shaw's nurse asked questions, had me check for numbness, and said muscle weakness could occur with fatigue, but ordered me to rest and call again if it happened. Diane hung up. Thank you, I said stiffly. You're welcome. She went into the kitchen. Cabinets opened. Water ran. Her movements were controlled, but a spoon struck the counter hard enough to make me flinch. When she returned with tea, she placed it beside me and sat on the couch. Lauren told me you didn't want people fussing over you, she said. I don't. This is not fussing. This is basic safety. I know. No, you know how to say the words. I looked at her. She took a breath. I'm sorry. Don't clean up so fast. You hadn't finished biting. A reluctant smile crossed her face and disappeared. I think Ruth should come, I said. Diane blinked. Your friend? Yes. Would she stay overnight? If I asked. Will you? I looked toward Frank's photograph. Asking felt larger than surgery. It meant admitting I had miscalculated. It meant letting Ruth see the refrigerator full of food another woman had chosen, and the guest room where my daughter had promised to sleep. It meant becoming difficult on purpose. I picked up my phone and called her. Ruth answered on the first ring. I'm asking again, I said. Her voice changed immediately. Tell me when to be there. Tonight. I'll bring my toothbrush. No questions. No sigh. No calculation I could hear. When I ended the call, Diane nodded as if I had accomplished something physical. Good, she said. I looked at Lauren's key on the table beside her purse, and after Ruth gets here, I said, I want that back. Diane picked up the key. It was attached to Lauren's old brass keychain, the one shaped like a sunflower. I had given it to her when she moved into her first apartment. The yellow enamel was chipped around the petals. You want me to return this to Lauren? Diane asked. No, I want you to give it to me. She placed it in my palm. No argument. No reminder that Lauren had been trying to help. Diane simply closed my fingers around the key. She gave you something that wasn't hers to give, I said. I should have asked you before I used it. Yes, I'm sorry. The apology was clean. She did not wrap it in an explanation and hand it back for me to comfort her. I put the key in the pocket of my sweatshirt. Lauren will be angry with you. I imagine so. You don't seem worried. I've survived her being angry before. I haven't. Diane sat back on the couch. The admission embarrassed me. Lauren had certainly been angry with me over the years, about curfews, college choices, the small wedding she and Caleb paid for themselves after I offered too many opinions about flowers. But I had always rushed to smooth things over. I baked, I called, I found a reason to apologize first. "You have," Diane said quietly. "You just haven't let it last." I did not ask how she knew. Ruth arrived at 2, carrying a blue duffel bag, a pharmacy sack, and a potted basil plant. "I panicked in the grocery store," she explained, holding up the basil. "You thought spinal recovery required herbs? I thought your kitchen looked depressing. You hadn't seen it, I know you. Ruth Bell had been my friend for 31 years. We met when we worked in adjacent offices at the county library, where she handled public programs and I handled acquisitions. She had retired 2 years before I did and immediately became busier than she had ever been while employed. Her gray hair was cut short, her earrings never matched, and she owned 3 pairs of reading glasses but could locate none of them. She dropped the duffel beside the guest room door and came to me. "Let me look at you." I looked pale. "You always look pale. Now you look pale and furious." "I am not furious. You called before 9 in the morning." She kissed my forehead, then turned to Diane. "You must be Diane." Diane stood. "And you're Ruth. I'm the emergency understudy." The joke had just enough truth to make the room uncomfortable. Diane lifted her purse. "Vivian had some weakness last night. Dr. Shaw's nurse has been informed. Her next medication is at 3:30 if she wants it, and she should walk only with someone beside her today." Ruth looked at me. "Did she ask you whether I wanted the report?" "No." Diane's gaze shifted to mine. "Would you like me to stop?" "Yes." She nodded. "Then I'll stop." Ruth's eyebrows rose. Diane put on her coat. "There's soup in the refrigerator and grilled chicken for tonight. The towels she can reach are on the middle shelf. I moved them with permission." "Show off," Ruth said. To my surprise, Diane laughed. At the door, she turned to me. "Do you want me to call tomorrow?" "No." "All right, Diane." She waited. "Thank you for what you did." "You're welcome. I don't want you managing this anymore." "I understand." The words hurt more than I expected. She had shown up when Lauren had not. She had watched my face instead of her phone. Asking her to leave felt ungrateful and necessary at the same time. Diane seemed to understand that, too. "I hope the leg is stronger tomorrow," she said. Then she left. Ruth watched the door close. "Well," she said, "that was disappointingly civilized. You wanted a fight?" "I brought basil. I was prepared for anything." She sat on the couch and pulled the ottoman closer to my recliner. "Now tell me what happened." I told her about the hallway wall, the pain, and sitting awake until dawn. I did not tell the story well. I kept inserting defenses for Lauren, then backing up to correct myself. She had a work crisis. "You're doing it again." "Doing what?" "Arguing with the witness." "You weren't there." "Exactly. Yet you keep trying to convince me it was fine. It wasn't fine." "Good. We've established one fact." Ruth opened the pharmacy sack and removed a bag of chocolate-covered pretzels. "Those are not medically recommended. They're for me. You brought nothing for the patient?" "I brought myself." "I'm expensive." I laughed, then winced. She waited until the pain passed. "I can stay 3 nights, she said. After that, my sister's having her cataract procedure, and I promised to drive her. 3 nights is too much. Then I'll stay 2, leave dramatically and sneak back for the 3rd. I don't need that long. You were afraid to go to bed." The room quieted. "I don't want Lauren to think I called you to make a point." "Did you?" "No. Then what she thinks is her exercise. I can't ask you to put your life on hold. You didn't. You asked for tonight." I offered the rest. Ruth had always been better at separating a request from the story surrounding it. I envied that. She took her phone from her purse. Also, Sandra used a home care service after her knee replacement. 4-hour minimum, but they were reliable. We could get someone in the mornings after I go. I'm not hiring a stranger. You let a man named Dennis stab your hand yesterday. That was a medical environment. Your standards are flexible. I can't afford 2 weeks of private help. That isn't what you said. It's what I meant. How much were you planning to spend on Santa Fe? I stared at her. Ruth and I had been talking about Santa Fe for almost a year. Nothing extravagant. 4 nights in April, 1 good hotel, museums, restaurants, and a day trip neither of us had organized. I had an envelope in my desk with $3,800 saved from small monthly transfers. That money is for the trip. Money is famously reusable. We've already postponed once. Because I broke my ankle stepping off a curb like an idiot. You didn't do it on purpose. Neither did your spine. I looked toward the window. The October sun had reached the row of maple trees beyond the parking lot, turning the leaves a hard, bright red. I hate this, I said. I know. I hate paying someone to do what my daughter said she would do. Then don't pay them for that. Pay them so you can recover without building a criminal case every time Lauren disappoints you. That sounds like something from one of your library programs. We had excellent speakers. We called the service. A coordinator asked questions about mobility, medication, bathing, and meal preparation. The hourly rate made my stomach tighten. I booked 5 mornings with the option to add more. When I hung up, Ruth said, "Good. There goes the Adobe tour. Adobe will still be there. You don't know that. I feel confident." At 4:30, I called Lauren. She answered on the second ring. "Hey, I'm about to leave. Ruth is here." Silence. Why? My leg gave way last night. What? I didn't fall. I spoke with Dr. Shaw's nurse this morning. They aren't concerned unless it happens again. You spoke to the nurse? Why didn't anyone tell me? Who is anyone? You? Diane? Mom, I should know this. You weren't here. The words came out flat. I did not mean them as punishment, which made them sound more like one. "I asked you to call me," she said. "You were asleep." "I don't care." "Then you had an early meeting." "I don't care about the meeting if something is wrong with you." "You cared enough to leave." That was before I knew. "Lauren, stop." She did. I heard her breathing. "I'm not calling to argue," I said. "Ruth is staying for a few nights. I hired someone to come in the mornings after that." "You hired someone?" "Yes." "You don't need to do that. Diane and I already made a schedule. You and Diane made a schedule. For you, without me. Because you make everything harder when we include you." There it was. Lauren made a sound as though she wanted the sentence back. I looked at Ruth. She was deliberately studying the basil plant. "I want the schedule canceled," I said. "Mom, I don't want Diane coordinating my recovery. I don't want you assigning people to me or giving out my key. If you want to visit, call and ask. If I want help, I will ask. You asked Ruth. Yes, but not me. I did not have to ask you. You promised." "That's not fair. No, it isn't." Her voice changed. "Is Diane there?" "She went home. Did she tell you to do this?" "No. She has been acting strange with me since the hospital. This is not about Diane. She always does this. She helps, then decides nobody else is doing enough." "Lauren," I decided, "I'm coming over. Call first. I just called. You called because I called you." Ruth raised both eyebrows and gave me a small, approving nod. Lauren was silent for so long I wondered if the call had dropped. "Do you want me there?" she asked. The question was careful, stripped of assumption. "Yes," I said, "I want you. Not your schedule. Not the person you send when you can't come. You." Another silence. "I'll be there in 40 minutes, she said. She arrived in 28. Ruth let her in but did not leave the room. Lauren noticed that immediately. "I'd like to talk to my mother alone." "I'm not preventing that," Ruth said. "Could you give us some privacy?" Ruth looked at me. It was such a simple thing, she asked without words, and waited for my answer. "We'll be fine," I said. "All right." She took the basil into the kitchen. Lauren remained near the door, still wearing her coat. Her eyes went to the walker, then to my right leg. "Show me you can move your foot. I am not doing another amateur neurological examination. Please." I flexed my foot. She let out a breath. Why didn't you call me last night? I didn't want to. The answer shocked both of us. Lauren sat on the edge of the couch. Why? Because I did not want to hear the tiredness in your voice, because I did not want you to call Diane, because I did not want to become another emergency between the meeting and the revised deck. I don't know, I said. Yes, you do. I looked down at the sunflower keychain in my lap. I needed my daughter, I said. And lately, every time I reach for you, I get a substitute. Lauren's eyes filled. She's not a substitute. She's family. She's your family. She's yours too. Not in the same way. You like Diane. This is not about whether I like her. Then what is it about? I held out the key. Lauren stared at it. You gave her access to my home without asking me. To help you. I know why. I'm telling you not to do it again. She took the key but closed her hand around mine. I'm sorry, she whispered. I wanted to pull her close and end it there. I wanted the apology to repair the hospital, the empty chair, the laundry basket, and the night against the wall. Instead, I let her hold my hand. After a moment, she said, I still want to stay tonight. I want Ruth tonight. The hurt crossed her face before she could hide it. I understood it. That did not change my answer. Lauren released my hand. Okay, she said. It was the first boundary I had ever watched my daughter accept without rushing to make it easier for her. Lauren looked toward the kitchen. Is Ruth listening? Probably. I can hear you, Ruth called, but I'm pretending to rinse basil. Lauren gave a wet, unwilling laugh. Then she looked at the guest room door. The laundry's still in there? Yes. I'll take it. You don't have to leave immediately. You said you wanted Ruth tonight. That doesn't mean I'm throwing you out. I know. She stood, disappeared into the guest room, and returned with the basket against one hip. The 2 shirts she had folded were still on top. The rest lay in a soft, clean heap beneath them. At the front door, she shifted the basket and leaned down to kiss me. I love you, she said. I love you too. I'll call before I come tomorrow. Thank you. The formality hurt us both. After the door shut, Ruth came back carrying the basil and 2 spoons. Why do you have spoons? There's ice cream in my duffel. You packed ice cream in your clothes? Of course not. It's in an insulated bag beside my clothes. I have standards. She set the basil on the dining table and sat on the couch. Do you want to talk about it? No. Excellent. She went to the freezer and returned with chocolate ice cream soft enough to eat from the carton. We passed it between us while watching a home renovation show in which a young couple objected to the color of a perfectly functional bathroom. This is why civilizations collapse, Ruth said. The tile is ugly. It's beige. Exactly. At 10, she helped me get into bed. Unlike Lauren and Diane, Ruth had retained none of Tasha's careful instructions. She stood beside the mattress with her hands spread and said, Tell me where to put myself. That sounds indecent. Try not to become irresistible while wearing orthopedic socks. I showed her how to support my legs while I lowered my shoulders. We did it badly, laughed, started again, and eventually got me flat without injuring either of us. Are you comfortable? She asked. No. Can I fix it? No. Good night then. She turned off the lamp. I slept for 5 straight hours. In the morning, Ruth burned oatmeal and blamed my stove. She also brought me tea in the blue mug instead of the heavy ceramic one, left the spoon on the wrong side of the saucer, and sat down before I had taken my first sip. The whole breakfast was disorganized. It was wonderful. Lauren called at 9:20. I'm calling first, she said. I noticed. How are you? Better. I slept. Did your leg give out again? No. Pain? 4. Did you take? She stopped. Sorry, I took the medication after breakfast. Good. There was a pause. Do you want me to come after work? Yes. Her relief traveled clearly through the phone. Okay, I'll bring dinner, not lemon cookies. Caleb has been informed of his failure. He meant well. He always means well. It's his most irritating quality. When Lauren came that evening, she brought chicken pot pie from a restaurant I liked. She did not carry her laptop inside. Her phone remained in her coat pocket through dinner, even when it buzzed. She stayed for 2 hours. We did not discuss Diane, the key, or the hospital. Lauren washed the dishes while Ruth dried them. I listened from the recliner as they discovered a mutual dislike of the same television news anchor. Before leaving, Lauren asked, "Tomorrow? I have someone from the service coming in the morning. I could come instead. I've already paid." "What about after work?" "Call me." Her mouth tightened, but she nodded. The woman from the service arrived the next morning at 8. Her name was Maribel, and she was 58, compact, and entirely unimpressed by me. She wore navy pants and white athletic shoes and had worked in home care for 16 years. "What can you do yourself?" she asked. "Most things. That answer saves us no time." I showed her how I stood, walked, and used the bathroom. She watched without grabbing me. When I reached for the water bottle on the kitchen counter, she asked why I was leaning instead of moving the walker closer. "Because it's 6 inches. 6 inches is where people become foolish. You and Ruth are going to get along." She helped me shower, changed the dressing, and made scrambled eggs. Then she wiped the bathroom floor, which offended me. "I can do that later." "You can pay me to do it now. I'm paying you too much to mop. You're paying me to make sure you don't bend." I had no answer. At noon, I wrote her a check. The amount represented nearly 3 months of deposits into the Santa Fe envelope. She did not know that. To her, it was just a check. After she left, Ruth found me at my desk with the envelope open. "Don't," she said. I didn't say anything. "Your shoulders did. I wanted to see Georgia O'Keeffe's house. You still can." "When?" "When your back works." "What if we keep postponing until one of us can't go?" Ruth sat in the desk chair. "Then we spend the trip money getting old with slightly more dignity." That is a terrible brochure. I would still sign up. She stayed her 3rd night despite my accusation that she had manipulated the original agreement. The next afternoon, she packed her duffel and put the basil on my kitchen windowsill. "Water it when the soil is dry." "You bought me a dependent." "It's an herb, Vivian. If it dies, no one prosecutes." At the door, she hugged me longer than usual. "Call before you're sitting against a wall all night." "I will. You promise too easily. I'll consider calling." "Better." After she left, the condo seemed to expand around me. Maribel came each morning. Lauren visited twice that week, both times after 7. On the other evenings, she called while driving home. I learned to recognize the change in engine noise when she entered the parking garage, which meant our conversation had approximately 4 minutes remaining. Diane did not call until Saturday. "Am I violating instructions?" she asked when I answered. "You were told not to coordinate, not to vanish. I was trying to respect the distinction." "How are you?" "Fine." You paused. "I was drinking tea." "You don't drink tea at 4 in the afternoon. I occasionally behave unpredictably." I smiled. "The leg is better." "And the pain?" 3 or 4. "Good." Neither of us knew what to say next. Finally, Diane said, "Lauren is angry with me." "I'm sorry. I'm not telling you to make you fix it. That is an unusual reason to tell someone about a problem. I thought you should know she believes I encouraged you to hire help. You didn't." I told her that. "Did she believe you?" "No." I traced the edge of the medication organizer with my thumb. It remained beside Frank's photograph, though I had removed 2 of the little plastic compartments and put them in my purse for appointments. "Why does she think that?" I asked. "Because I told her she should have stayed at the hospital." I pictured Diane by the waiting area window saying, "Because she's your mother." "You did encourage me then." "No," I challenged her. "You made your own decision." The distinction mattered to Diane. I was beginning to understand why. "She'll come around," I said. "Perhaps. I can talk to her." "Don't. You just said she's angry. She's allowed to be angry with me." There it was again, that calm willingness to let discomfort exist without rushing to cover it. "I haven't learned how to do that," I admitted. "Yes, you have." "Based on what?" "You told me not to come back. That was necessity, not skill. Most skills begin as necessity. We spoke for another 10 minutes. Diane told me Caleb had ruined a second batch of cookies, trying to prove he knew how. I told her the basil had survived 3 days. Neither accomplishment was taken lightly. On Sunday morning, Lauren texted at 9. "How are you feeling today?" 3. "Walking well." "Maribel says I'm getting bossy." She replied, "That means you're healing." A second message came before I could answer. "Diane and I can handle dinner tonight. You sit and supervise." I stared at it. Sunday dinner had been at my condo almost every week since Frank died. At first, Lauren said she did not want me eating alone. Then Caleb began coming. Then Diane. Sometimes Caleb's brother or one of Lauren's friends joined us. I cooked because I enjoyed it, because my dining table seated 6, and because everyone praised the roast chicken. The praise lasted longer than the cleanup help. I typed, "No dinner tonight." Lauren called immediately. "What do you mean, no dinner?" The question almost made me laugh. "I mean, I'm not hosting. You don't have to do anything. Diane and I will cook. At my house. Because your dining room is easier. Mom, we already bought groceries. You should cook at Diane's. Her oven is being repaired. Then your house. We can't fit everyone comfortably." Who is everyone? Us, Diane, Caleb's brother, and Aunt Sharon. She's in town, remember? I did not remember. Apparently, Aunt Sharon's visit existed somewhere in the whole plan. "I'm not having 6 people here. You'll be sitting the entire time. I don't want 6 people here." Silence. Then Lauren said, "They're expecting dinner. They'll survive." That's not the point. What is the point? The point is we're trying to include you. I looked around my quiet living room. Include me in my own home? You know what I mean. I'm not sure I do. Lauren lowered her voice. "Are you still angry about the laundry?" "No." "The key? I dealt with the key." "Then why are you doing this?" "I'm tired. You sounded fine 30 seconds ago." "I am fine for a woman 8 days out of spinal surgery. That is not the same as wanting a dinner party. It's family, not a party." Family. The word had become a tool that could pry open any locked door. "No," I said. She exhaled hard. "Fine. I'll tell everyone you canceled." I didn't cancel. Nobody asked me before plans were made. Does that distinction really make you feel better? Yes. I had never answered her so quickly. Lauren went quiet. "I have to call Diane," she said. "Give her my best." She hung up. At 5:30, the time I would normally have been checking the chicken, I heated soup. Through the kitchen window, I watched people carry grocery bags across the parking lot and disappear into lit homes. The silence I had chosen did not feel triumphant. It felt like silence. I sat one place at the table. Then the doorbell rang. For one wild second, I imagined all 6 of them outside with grocery bags, prepared to ignore me in the name of togetherness. It was Caleb. He stood alone, holding a covered plate. "I come in peace," he said. "What's on the plate?" "Diane's lasagna. That does improve your position." He did not step inside. "Lauren's furious," he said. I assumed. "She says you're punishing her." "Do you think I am?" Caleb looked down at the plate. "I think she doesn't understand the difference between being needed and being wanted." The answer surprised me. "Do you?" I asked. He met my eyes. "I'm starting to." He handed me the plate and left before I could ask what that meant. I ate the lasagna at the table. It was excellent, which irritated me. Diane's food usually was. The sauce had enough garlic to remain on speaking terms with me until bedtime. Caleb sent a message at 7, made it home alive. Lauren did not throw anything. I typed, "Low standard for success." He replied, "Current family standard." I put the phone face down. Monday morning, Maribel made me walk the length of the parking lot. The air smelled like wet leaves, and my right leg felt weak but dependable. I used the walker because Maribel insisted, though I had begun to hate its little tennis ball feet. At the mailboxes, she asked, "Who brought dinner?" "How do you know someone brought dinner?" "You did not cook lasagna." "I can cook lasagna." "You cannot lift a baking dish." "You're very suspicious." It's why I stay employed. On the return walk, we passed Mrs. Keller from the end unit. She glanced at the walker and performed the sympathetic grimace people use when they want details. Back surgery, I told her before she could ask. Oh, you poor thing. Is your daughter taking good care of you? Yes, I said. The lie arrived without effort. Maribel waited until we were inside. You pay me too much to erase me in public. I didn't erase you. You said your daughter takes care of you. I didn't want to explain. You could say you have help. Mrs. Keller considers questions a renewable resource. Maribel leaned the walker against the wall. You answer fast when the truth makes you uncomfortable. Is personal criticism included in the hourly rate? Complimentary. That afternoon, Lauren called while I was doing the ankle exercises Tasha had assigned. Are you free Thursday? That depends. Our new dishwasher is being delivered. I lowered my exercise band. Congratulations. The delivery window is 8 to 4. My condolences. Caleb has a site inspection and I have the client review. Could you sit at the house? There was no malice in the request, no awareness either. I have physical therapy at 11. Could Ruth drive you from our place? Ruth isn't driving me. I thought she was. I hired a transportation service. Mom, you don't have to keep spending money. I can take you. Can you? She ignored the question. The delivery should be early. They usually give a shorter window the night before. I'm not waiting for your dishwasher. Silence. You would only have to sit there. I'm recovering. You just told me you're doing exercises. That is part of recovering. I don't understand why sitting in my living room is different from sitting in yours. Because mine contains my things. Mom, this is exactly what I mean. You're making a simple favor into some huge statement. It's a no, Lauren. You're the one enlarging it. She gave a short laugh with no humor in it. You never used to mind. That was true. I had waited at their house for plumbers, electricians, furniture deliveries, and a man who measured every window for blinds they later decided not to buy. I knew which floorboard squeaked near the refrigerator and where Caleb hid the television remote when he wanted Lauren to stop reorganizing the apps. I mined this time. Fine, I'll reschedule the dishwasher. Fine. We hung up politely. My hands shook afterward. Saying no took less than a minute. Living with it occupied the rest of the afternoon. At physical therapy on Thursday, Tasha graduated me from the walker to a cane. She adjusted it, watched me cross the room, then made me do it again without looking at my feet. I've spent 68 years looking where I'm going. You're looking too close. Pick a point ahead. That sounds philosophical. It costs extra if it's philosophical. I chose a red exit sign at the far end of the room and walked toward it. My gait was uneven, but my foot cleared the floor. Better? She said. It felt better. On the ride home, we passed Lauren and Caleb's neighborhood. For a moment, I wondered whether the dishwasher had arrived. Then I realized I did not know if they had rescheduled it. The ignorance felt unnatural. Lauren and I spoke less over the next 10 days. She called, but our conversation stayed near the surface. She asked about pain. I asked about work. We both avoided Sunday. Caleb sent occasional messages, mostly photographs of failed baked goods. One showed a pan of cookies fused into a single dark continent. Diane says this is not salvageable, he wrote. I replied, Diane lacks imagination. He sent back, Lauren says, you lack a heart. I stared at the message. A second one came immediately. Bad joke. Sorry. I wrote, I know. I did not know whether Lauren had actually said it. Diane called twice and visited once after asking permission. She brought no folder, no groceries, and no bra. We drank coffee at the kitchen table while the basil leaned dramatically toward the window. You need to turn it, she said. You promised not to manage. I'm speaking for the plant. You've always been easily manipulated by herbs. She rotated the pot a quarter turn. How is Lauren? I asked. You can call her. I do. Then you know. I know how she sounds with me. Diane sipped her coffee. How does she sound with you? I asked. Angry. At me. At everyone. Mostly herself, which is making everyone else tired. I smiled despite myself. She thinks I'm punishing her. Are you? No. Diane waited. I don't think so. That's different. I'm learning. She touched the rim of her cup. Lauren is accustomed to you being available. So are you. Yes. Her agreement unsettled me. You ask me to host as often as she does. I do. You let me cook. Your roast chicken is better. That's not a defense. No. Diane looked through the kitchen doorway toward the living room. Frank's photograph was visible beside the phone. I thought you liked doing it, she said. I did. Past tense? I don't know yet. That answer frightened me more than no. Diane left after an hour. Before she did, she took a sticky note from her purse, wrote, "Turn me, D," and put it on the basil pot. I laughed until the door closed. Then I peeled off the note. Maribel's final scheduled morning was the following Friday. By then I could shower alone, make a simple meal, and walk outside with the cane. She changed the dressing one last time, inspected the bathroom as if I had personally constructed it, and pronounced me less foolish. High praise, I said. You still reach too far. I'm tall. You are 5'5". I was 5'6" before surgery. Maybe they removed an inch. I wrote the last check. Between Maribel, transportation, and prepared meals, I had spent more than half the Santa Fe money. I put the envelope back in the desk drawer without counting what remained. Call if you need more mornings, she said. I won't, I know. Call anyway. Apparently everyone had attended the same school of final remarks. The next day, I drove for the first time. Only around the condo complex with Ruth in the passenger seat clutching the door handle theatrically. You're going 9 miles an hour, I said. Speed kills. You rode in a convertible with a man named Snake in 1978. That was different. How? I was wearing a halter top. We went to the pharmacy, then to lunch. Sitting upright in the restaurant booth pulled at my back, but I stayed through coffee. Nobody asked for my medication schedule. Nobody moved the salt so I would not overreach. On the way home, Ruth said, "You're getting your face back." What face was I using? The one that says you know where the exits are. That evening, I found Lauren's house key in the ceramic bowl inside my front closet. It was attached to a red leather tag stamped Holloway. Caleb had given it to me after they moved into the house 6 years earlier. For emergencies, he had said. It became the key I used when I watered their plants, brought in packages, met repairmen, started dinner before they came home, or drove across town because Lauren could not remember whether she had turned off her hair straightener. I held it for a long time. Then I put it in my purse. Lauren did not answer when I called. She texted that she was in a meeting. I asked if she and Caleb would be home that evening. Why? I have something of yours. This sounds ominous. It's a key, Lauren. She did not reply for 10 minutes. Keep it. You might need it. I typed, I don't. Her response came immediately. What is that supposed to mean? I deleted 3 answers before writing. It means I'm returning your spare key. We're not doing this by text. That was precisely how we had done most things for years, but I did not say it. I drove to their house after dinner. Lauren opened the door before I reached the porch. Caleb hovered behind her in the hallway. You drove yourself? She asked. I've been cleared. You didn't tell me. You didn't ask today. I ask constantly. You ask about pain. Driving is not pain. She looked at my cane. Come inside. I'm not staying. I held out the key. Lauren stared at it as if it were something injured. This is ridiculous. It's your key. You're my emergency contact. You told the hospital Diane was. That was different. How? It was your surgery. This is our house. I almost laughed. Caleb stepped forward. Vivian, you can keep it. No obligation attached. There has always been an obligation attached. No, there hasn't, Lauren said. Then you won't miss the key. She folded her arms. This is punishment. I don't want to be responsible for your house. You water plants twice a year, and wait for deliveries, and let contractors in, and check appliances, and pick up things you leave behind. We do things for you. I know. Do you? The anger in her voice exposed something beneath it. She did not feel used. She felt accused of not loving me, and she had been defending herself against that accusation for weeks. I put the key on the narrow table inside the doorway. "I'm not keeping score," I said. "It certainly feels like you are. I'm noticing the score exists." Caleb flinched. I regretted the sentence, but I did not take the key back. On the drive home, I cried at a red light. Not dramatically. Tears simply ran while I watched the signal change. I had made myself less useful to my daughter and expected to feel lighter. Instead, I felt replaceable. The following Sunday, I did not hear from Lauren until 4:30. "Are we having dinner?" I read the message twice. I had chicken in the refrigerator and vegetables in the crisper. Enough for myself, not 4 people. Before surgery, I would have opened another package, peeled more potatoes, and answered, "Of course." I wrote, "I'm not hosting tonight." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then returned. Okay. At 5:40, my doorbell rang. Lauren stood outside with Caleb, both wearing the expressions of people who had arrived at a familiar destination and found the road closed. She looked past me toward the kitchen. "You didn't cook. I told you I wasn't hosting. I thought you meant everyone else." "Who is everyone else?" "Diane, Caleb's brother. I thought you still wanted us." Caleb touched her arm. She pulled away. "Can we come in?" she asked. I stepped aside. Lauren went straight to the kitchen. The counters were clean. One saucepan sat on the stove beside a single bowl and spoon. She turned to me. "So this is what you wanted?" she asked. "To make sure I noticed you don't need me?" I closed the door behind us. "No," I said. "I wanted to find out whether you knew the difference between coming to see me and coming to be fed." Lauren stared at me as if I had slapped her. Caleb closed his eyes. "That is incredibly unfair," she said. "Is it?" "We came because you said you were alone. I said I wasn't hosting. You knew I would think that meant you wanted us here. I didn't know what you would think. That has been part of the problem." She took off her coat and threw it over the back of a chair. It slid to the floor. None of us picked it up. "We can order food," Caleb said. "There's no reason this has to become—" "Stay out of it," Lauren told him. "I'm already in it." "You're not. I brought half my dirty clothes to a woman who had just had back surgery. You didn't bring them. I did." "Yes, Lauren, I'm aware." She looked at him sharply. I moved to the kitchen table and sat because my back had begun to pull. The cane rested against my knee. Caleb retrieved Lauren's coat and hung it over the chair more carefully. "We don't have to eat," I said. "Sit down." "I don't want to sit down." "Then stand. Don't talk to me like I'm being unreasonable." "I don't know how to talk to you right now." "Try normally. Normally is what got us here." Lauren turned away from me and gripped the edge of the counter. Her shoulders rose and fell once. "What exactly do you want?" she asked. "I wanted you to call and ask if you could come." I texted. "You asked if we were having dinner. That's what we do on Sundays. It's what I do. You arrive. That is not true. Who plans the meal? You. Who buys it? You, usually. Who cooks it? You like cooking. Who cleans up? We help. Caleb loads the dishwasher while you take calls. I have a job. So did I. You're retired." I watched her hear herself. "That came out wrong," she said. "It came out accurately." "No, it didn't. I don't think your time matters less. You behave as if it belongs to you." She crossed both arms tightly over her chest. "This is about the dishwasher. This is about many things. The key? Yes. The laundry? Yes. The dinner you canceled when everyone was trying to help you. Nobody asked me before planning a gathering in my home. They were family. You keep saying that as if family means I don't get a door." Caleb pulled out a chair but did not sit. "She's right about that." Lauren turned on him. "Whose side are you on?" "I don't think this needs sides. That's what people say when they don't want to admit they've chosen one. I'm not choosing against you. You just agreed with her." "He agreed with one sentence." I said. "I told you to stay out of it. You're standing in my kitchen." That stopped her. For a second, none of us moved. The refrigerator hummed. Somewhere in the building, a dog barked twice and was quiet. Lauren's eyes filled, but she blinked the tears back angrily. "So that's it?" she said. You're taking inventory of everything you've ever done for me and deciding I failed some test I didn't know I was taking. I didn't know I was giving one. You returned our key, like we're strangers. I returned responsibility. It was for emergencies. It became errands. You could have said no, yes. You didn't. I know. You always said you were happy to help. I was. Then how was I supposed to know this was building up? I didn't know it was building up. That's convenient. It isn't. She laughed once. You're punishing me for not reading your mind. No, you are. You keep creating these little scenes, so I'll understand how much I hurt you. The laundry, the key on the table, the empty kitchen. The empty kitchen is simply a kitchen where I did not cook. It's a message, only because you expected food. Her mouth tightened. Caleb finally sat. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, looking tired. Lauren, he said, we did expect it. She looked at him. We did, he continued. We assumed Sunday dinner would happen because it always does. We assumed Vivian would handle deliveries because she always has. I didn't think about it. You're making us sound awful. I'm saying we got comfortable. Speak for yourself. I am. You're hearing yourself in it. She turned back to me. Did you call us here so the two of you could do this? I didn't call you here at all. The tears came then. She wiped them away with the heel of her hand. I wanted to get up. I wanted to pull her against me, tell Caleb to order Chinese food, and let the argument dissolve under cartons and soy sauce. I knew exactly how to restore the room. The knowledge sat inside me like a dangerous medication. Is this all because of what I said to the nurse? Lauren asked. There it was. She said nurse as if the woman had been incidental, as if I had not been sitting in a wheelchair with a hospital bracelet around my wrist when my daughter told a stranger to call someone else. It began before that, I said. That was when I saw it. Saw what? That you had already handed me off. I gave them a backup contact. You said, call my husband's mother if anything happens. She knows the whole plan. It was practical. I know. You're acting like I told them I didn't care if you died. No, you told them who you trusted to handle it. Because Diane had the information about my surgery, information you would not keep organized. I had the blue folder. You forgot it at the pre-op appointment. I left it in the car. Then I went back and got it. You didn't even know which medications you were supposed to stop until I checked. Dr. Shaw had already told me. Then why were you still taking the anti-inflammatory? Because the stop date was 3 days later. Lauren opened her mouth, then closed it. It isn't about the folder, I said. Then stop bringing up things I did to help. I'm not saying you did nothing. You did a great deal. You asked questions. You bought recovery supplies. You stayed one night. I nearly lost a client. I know. My team had been working on that campaign for 4 months. If I hadn't gone in, 11 people's work could have been thrown out. I know. No, you don't. You say you understand, then you use it against me. I'm not using your job against you. You keep saying, I left. You did leave. I came back. After Diane. Because she was available. I didn't want the most available woman. I wanted my daughter. Her face changed. The anger did not disappear. Something opened underneath it. You never said that. You never asked. How could I ask when you joke every time anyone gets close to a real answer? You mocked the wheelchair. You mocked the forms. You mocked Diane's folder. Every time I tried to help, you made me feel ridiculous. The truth of it struck cleanly. I looked down at my hands. You're right, I said. Lauren seemed unprepared for agreement. I was frightened, I continued. I made jokes because if I said I was frightened, then I would need something from you. And I have spent years making sure you don't think I need anything. I'm your daughter. You're allowed to need me. Am I? Yes. Then why did you send Diane? Because she is good in a crisis. The words rang through the kitchen. Lauren pressed both hands to her face. When she lowered them, she looked horrified by what she had said. I nodded slowly. And what am I? What? If Diane is good in a crisis, what am I? That's not what I meant. I know it isn't. But tell me what you meant. She knows medical things. She stays calm. She remembers instructions. She doesn't what? She doesn't make me feel like every decision proves whether I love her. The answer left us both breathing hard. Caleb stood. I'm going to give you two some space. No, Lauren said. You wanted to be in it. Stay in it. He remained beside the chair. I looked at my daughter. She was 40 years old, successful, exhausted, frightened, and still waiting for her mother to tell her she was good. You didn't create that test by yourself, I said. She wiped her cheek. I taught you that loving me was easy, I continued. I answered every request. I told you not to worry. After your father died, I made being fine into my full-time job because I was afraid grief would make me too much. I thought if I stayed useful and cheerful, you would keep coming. Lauren shook her head. That's not why I came. Then why did an empty kitchen make you wonder whether I wanted you? She looked away. I like taking care of you, I said. I still do. But somewhere along the way, usefulness became the admission price. You came for dinner. You called when you needed a delivery handled. You brought me laundry while I was stitched together because even then, you could still imagine me helping you more easily than you could imagine sitting beside me. I thought you'd be bored. I know. I wasn't trying to use you, I know. Then stop saying it like I committed something terrible. You didn't commit anything. You stopped noticing. Caleb sat down again slowly. Lauren leaned back against the counter. So what happens now? I don't know. Well, you clearly do. You've canceled dinners. You hired help. You gave back the key. Those are things I'm not doing. I'm still deciding what I am doing. With me? With my life. She laughed bitterly. That sounds like something Ruth told you to say. Ruth didn't tell me to say anything. Diane then. Diane did not do this. She told you I left the hospital. I woke up. I noticed. She has been judging me since that day. She told you to stay because I'm your mother. Lauren's eyes narrowed. She told you that? I heard her on the phone. So the two of you have been discussing me. You discussed me before my surgery. You made plans, copied instructions, traded my bag, and gave away my key. I was the one person nobody discussed anything with. We were trying to take care of you. You didn't ask what I wanted. You made me easy to hand off. The sentence silenced the room. Lauren's face crumpled. She covered it before I could see more. I reached across the table, but she stepped away. No, she said. You don't get to say that and then comfort me. My hand remained in the air for a second before I lowered it. She grabbed her coat. Lauren, Caleb said. I want to go. He looked at me. I nodded. At the door, she turned back. For the record, I didn't leave because I didn't love you. I left because I thought I had arranged for someone better than me to stay. I know. That was supposed to be responsible. I know. Then why isn't that enough? Because I didn't need better than you. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she walked out. Caleb followed, but he stopped with one hand on the door. She'll hear it eventually, he said. Which part? He glanced toward the hallway where Lauren had disappeared. The part where you said you wanted her. The door closed. I sat alone in the kitchen until my back began to ache. The saucepan remained on the stove. I heated the soup, poured it into the single bowl, and carried it carefully to the table. Halfway through, I started crying. There was no triumph in having finally said the right things. There was only the terrible quiet that followed when the person you loved had heard them and left anyway. I left the bowl on the table. Normally, I would have rinsed it before the soup dried around the rim. That night, I turned off the lights and went to bed with it sitting there. In the morning, the bowl was the first thing I saw. I filled it with hot water and stood at the sink while the dried lines softened. Outside, rain had darkened the parking lot. Red leaves lay pasted across the pavement like wet paper. My phone remained silent. At 10, Ruth called. How bad was it? What makes you think something happened? You didn't answer my message about the cardiologist on television. What message? The one where I said he looks like a man who owns decorative handcuffs. I sat at the table. I haven't checked my phone. Oh dear. We had the conversation. You and Lauren? And Caleb. Was there throwing? Only a coat. That's beginner level. I told her enough. Not every sentence, but the important ones. When I repeated what I had said about being easy to hand off, Ruth went quiet. What? I asked. Nothing. You made a noise. I breathed. You breathed judgmentally. I think you said what you meant. She cried. So did you, apparently. How do you know? Your voice sounds boiled. I touched the tender skin beneath my eyes. Maybe I went swimming. You hate swimming. I like being near water. You like restaurants near water. I smiled weakly. Do you regret it? Ruth asked. Parts. Which parts? The ones that hurt her. That leaves very little. I could have said it differently. You did. For years. That was too neat, and I told her so. Fine, she said. You could have said it differently. You could have made tea, seated everyone comfortably, presented an indexed list of grievances, and provided wrapped gifts afterward. Lauren still would have heard that you were unhappy with her. I didn't say I was unhappy with her. What did you say? That I wanted a different relationship. People often hear that as criticism of the one they've been enjoying. I looked at the clean bowl. What do I do now? Nothing today. That's not advice. It is excellent advice. Don't apologize because the silence frightens you. I should apologize for some things. Eventually. How long is eventually? Longer than one damp morning. I managed until evening. At 6, I typed, I love you. The message showed as delivered. Lauren did not answer. At 9:15, she sent, love you too. No heart, no punctuation. I read the 4 words until they became both everything and nothing. The following Sunday passed without a question about dinner. I roasted a small chicken anyway. Habit guided my hands, lemon, thyme, garlic, butter beneath the skin. When it was done, I ate one leg and divided the rest into containers. At 6:30, I nearly called Lauren to offer leftovers. Instead, I froze 2 portions and took one to Mrs. Keller, who rewarded me with 40 minutes of information about her cousin's gallbladder. Not calling Lauren did not feel like strength. It felt like holding a heavy door closed while someone familiar stood on the other side. My physical therapy improved. I walked farther, drove without Ruth gripping the handle, and stopped using the cane inside the condo. Tasha taught me how to lift a grocery bag without bending from the waist. Light bags, she emphasized. How light? If you have to ask, it's too heavy. That isn't a measurement. It is in physical therapy. Lauren texted after each appointment because the schedule was still on her phone. I answered with facts. Walking better. Pain is 2. Cleared to drive farther. Her replies were equally careful. That's great. Proud of you. Don't overdo it. We were polite women connected by a medical calendar. Caleb called once. I wanted to check on you, he said. I'm doing well. I know, Lauren tells me. The fact that she was still talking about me eased something I had not intended to reveal. How is she? He hesitated. That was an unfair question, I said. She's hurt. So am I. I know. Do you? Yes. He sounded tired. I'm sorry about the key, he continued. And the laundry. I should have noticed how much we asked you to do. You were not the only one asking. No, but I was very good at enjoying the answer. That was a more honest apology than I expected from him. Thank you, I said. I also should have helped more at dinners. Yes. He laughed softly. I walked into that. You did. I'm not calling to make you forgive us. Good. I just don't want you to think Lauren doesn't understand any of it. Does she? She understands enough to be furious. That sounds promising. He laughed again. Then he said, she thinks if she calls first, she'll be agreeing that she abandoned you. I didn't say she abandoned me. I know. Did you tell her that? Several times. And? She asked why I'm taking your side. I closed my eyes. Don't make this harder between you. I'm not trying to. Caleb, what do you want me to do, Vivian? Pretend I don't agree with some of what you said? I want you to be her husband. I am. That doesn't mean I have to help her hide from herself. There was more steel in him than I had allowed for. Perhaps gentleness only looked like cowardice when I wanted someone else to fight my battles. Take care of her, I said. I will. He did not promise to fix anything. I appreciated that. Diane came for coffee the next week. She had called 2 days in advance and asked whether Tuesday at 11 would suit me. You sound like a dental office, I told her. I'm respecting boundaries. You're weaponizing them. Only a little. She brought the front-closing bra in a paper bag. You kept this? You never wore it. I never wanted it. Then you may return it yourself. The tags are gone. I removed them because they were ugly. You've ruined my financial recovery. She left the bag on the table. We drank coffee in the living room. I had turned the basil every few days without further instruction, and it had produced 3 new leaves. Lauren told me about the argument, Diane said. I assumed. She told me you blame me. I told her the opposite. She was selective in her reporting. I'm shocked. Diane set down her cup. I owe you another apology. You have reached your monthly limit. When Lauren asked me to help with the surgery, I liked being asked. Most people do. No, I liked being the person who knew what to do. I let her give me more authority than I should have accepted because competence is how I make myself valuable. I looked at her. She straightened the folded napkin beneath her cup. You and I may have more in common than either of us prefers, she said. I don't label cabinets. You alphabetized a spice rack in 2003. That was different. How? It was my spice rack. She smiled. I should have asked what you wanted, she said, not what Lauren wanted for you. Thank you. She should have asked too. Yes. She loves you. I know. Diane leaned back. That does not excuse everything. No, it also does not become meaningless because she failed. I know that too. Good. You're very tiring when you're reasonable. We sat quietly. Thanksgiving is at my house, she said after a moment. I guessed. 4 o'clock. Lauren hasn't mentioned it. She assumed I invited you. Did you? I am doing so now. With everyone? Yes. Caleb, his brother, Sharon, Lauren, you. No one expects you to cook. I'll bring something. Bring yourself. That phrase has been overused. Bring wine. Then. Ruth had invited me to Thanksgiving lunch at her house with her sister and 2 old library friends. Before surgery, I would have eaten quickly with Ruth, left early, and arrived at Diane's by 2 to help. I have plans earlier, I said. I can come at 5 for dessert. Dinner is at 4. I know. Diane absorbed the answer. I'll save you pie, she said. Thanksgiving morning, Lauren finally called. Are you really not coming to dinner? I'm going to Ruth's. I thought that was lunch. It is. I'm staying through the afternoon. We always do Thanksgiving together. We are doing part of it together. I'll come for dessert. You'll miss the whole meal. Yes. Aunt Sharon came from Ohio. She did not come to see me. She asked about you. Tell her I'm well. Lauren exhaled. Mom, I don't know how to do this. Do what? Figure out which traditions are still real. The anger had left her voice. What remained sounded younger and more frightening. Neither do I said. I don't want everything to change. Everything won't. How do you know? Because I'm not trying to leave you. She was quiet. I'll see you at 5, I said. Okay? Ruth's table was crowded and mismatched. Her sister burned the rolls. One of the library women brought cranberry sauce still shaped like the can. We drank too much wine and argued about whether a green bean casserole counted as a vegetable. At 4:30, I considered canceling dessert at Diane's. I went. Lauren opened the door. We hugged carefully as if each of us had stitches the other could not see. I stayed 90 minutes. Nobody asked me to clear plates. Caleb handed me coffee. Diane saved me the corner piece of pecan pie. It was awkward and kind and insufficient. For several weeks, that was what our relationship became. Then the small red spot at the bottom of my incision refused to disappear. Dr. Shaw examined it and found a stitch my body had decided to reject. He scheduled a short outpatient procedure to remove it and clean the area. Local anesthetic, light sedation, Home the same day. Ruth offered to drive, but her sister's cataract surgery had been scheduled for that morning. I can change it, she said. No, I have a ride service. I sat with the phone in my hand after we hung up. The old version of me would have told Lauren afterward. The newer version did not want secrecy confused with independence. I wrote doctor. Shaw needs to remove a stubborn stitch next Thursday. It's minor. I have transportation arranged, but I wanted you to know. Lauren called before I could set the phone down. Can I take you? I looked at the bare maple trees outside my window. You have work, I said. I'm asking if I can take you. Not insisting. Not scheduling. Asking. Yes, I said. You can. Lauren arrived 14 minutes early. She rang the doorbell instead of using a key she no longer had and waited on the step with both hands visible, as if approaching a suspicious animal. You can come in, I said. I'm respecting your door. You're letting in all the heat. She stepped inside. Her hair was pulled back neatly. She carried one small canvas bag and no laptop. I looked behind her to make sure she had not hidden it in the shrubs. What's in the bag? I asked. Your insurance card, medication list, lip balm, tissues, and a book. Whose insurance card? Yours. How did you get it? You gave it to me yesterday. I remember doing that. The book? I asked. That mystery you didn't finish in the hospital. You took it? It was in the overnight bag. I unpacked that bag. You put the book on my coat when I was folding the robe. The details sounded plausible, which was irritating. I brought hot water with lemon, she added. How much lemon? Less than last time. Growth. She took my coat from the hook, then stopped before holding it open. Do you want help? Yes. The word came more easily now. She helped me into it without smiling as if she had won. Outside, the December morning was cold and colorless. A thin crust of frost covered the grass. Lauren walked beside me but did not touch my elbow until I slipped slightly on the edge of the sidewalk. Her hand closed around my arm, steadied me, and released. I'm allowed to do that one, she said. Yes. Her SUV still smelled like peppermint and rosemary, but the recovery pillow was gone. In its place, she had put a folded towel behind the passenger seat. What happened to my fire extinguisher water bottle? It rolled under Caleb's seat and nearly killed him on the highway. That seems dramatic. He used stronger language. On the drive, Lauren kept both hands on the wheel. I told work I'm unavailable until tomorrow, she said. You didn't have to take the whole day. I know. Is the client stable? No. I turned toward her. She smiled. They will survive without me. It was what I had said about the canceled dinner. We both heard it. At the outpatient desk, a gray-haired receptionist checked my identification and directed us toward a smaller surgical unit. Lauren let me walk instead of asking for a wheelchair. She matched my slower pace without making it obvious. The waiting room had the same impossible lighting as the main hospital. A holiday garland had been draped over the television. Someone had tied a red bow around the hand sanitizer dispenser. Festive infection control, I said. Lauren laughed. A nurse called my name and led us into a curtained bay. She handed me a gown and asked whether I needed help changing. I have my daughter. Lauren looked at me before moving. I would like her help, I clarified. The nurse nodded and closed the curtain. Lauren worked the ties at the back of the gown. Still badly designed? She asked. I suspect corruption. By whom? The bathrobe industry. Once I was on the bed, the nurse returned with a tablet. Emergency contact is still Lauren Holloway? I looked at my daughter. She said nothing. Yes, I told the nurse, Lauren Holloway. And alternate contact? Ruth Bell. Lauren's eyes dropped briefly to her hands, but she did not correct me or suggest Diane. She did not explain Ruth. She simply sat beside the bed and waited while I answered. The nurse reviewed my medications. I mixed up the name of the muscle relaxant and looked at Lauren. It starts with C, she said. Do you want the rest? Cyclobenzaprine. That's it. She could have answered immediately. She could have saved me the effort. Instead, she had offered one piece and let me take the next. After the nurse left, I said, "If you can't be here, I need you to say so." Lauren looked at me. "Not just today," I continued. "If I put your name down and you can't do it, tell me. Don't appoint someone else to be my daughter." She flinched, but she nodded. "Okay, you can ask if someone else may help. I understand. And I have to say what I need before I become angry that you didn't guess." The edge of her mouth lifted. "That seems harder." "It does. I might need that in writing. Ask Diane. She has copies." Lauren laughed, then covered her face. For the first time since the surgery, Diane's folder belonged to a joke instead of a wound. Dr. Shaw came in, examined the spot, and explained the procedure. The stitch was close to the surface. He would numb the area, give me enough sedation to relax, remove the material, and clean the irritated tissue. "Any questions?" he asked. I had two. I asked both myself. Lauren listened. When the transport aide arrived, she kissed me and stepped back. "I'll be right here when you're done. You said that last time." "I know." She did not defend herself. "I will be right here," she said again. "If something changes, I'll tell you before I go." I let them wheel me away. The procedure lasted less than 40 minutes. I woke groggy but aware, with a square bandage at the bottom of my incision and a dry mouth. Lauren sat in the chair beside me. She held my unfinished mystery novel open halfway through, though I could tell from the way her eyes moved that she had not been reading. "You're here," I said. "I'm here." "What happened in the book?" "A woman found a shoe. That happened in chapter 2. I'm reading carefully." She reached for the cup of water but stopped. "Do you want it?" "Yes." She held the straw while I drank. No one else came to relieve her. No folder appeared. Her phone buzzed once inside the canvas bag and she left it there. "Doctor." Shaw checked the bandage and said I could go home as soon as the sedative wore off. Lauren asked one question about showering, then looked at me. "Anything else you want to ask?" I asked when I could resume physical therapy. At the discharge desk, Lauren signed nothing for me. She listened while I confirmed the instructions. When the nurse offered a wheelchair, I accepted it because I was dizzy and no longer believed dignity depended on making every distance under my own power. Lauren pushed me through the lobby carefully. "Roman Emperor, returning," I said. "I've improved my steering. You've had months to practice." "On Caleb. He has the legs for it." At home, she parked the wheelchair beside the door and helped me to the recliner. "Walker parking here?" she asked. "If you put up a yellow note, I'll have you removed." She hung my coat, set the canvas bag on the table, and went into the kitchen. "What are you doing?" "Making soup." "There's soup in the freezer. I'm making fresh soup." "Why?" "Because Diane gave me a recipe." "Of course she did. She said it was impossible to ruin. Nothing is impossible if you're committed." 40 minutes later, something smelled scorched. "I think you have committed," I called. "It's fine." Smoke drifted through the kitchen doorway. "Is that the soup or the pot?" "The bottom layer has become structurally involved." She opened a window despite the cold and transferred what remained into 2 bowls. We ate at the table. The soup tasted like tomatoes, basil, and a distant campfire. "It's good," I said. "You're sedated." "Then why are you offended?" She looked at her bowl. "I'm not offended. You're moving the carrots around. I've been trying to figure out how to apologize without making it about whether you forgive me." I set down my spoon. Lauren kept her eyes on the soup. "I'm sorry I left," she said. Not because the presentation didn't matter, it did matter, but I told myself arranging for Diane to be there was the same as staying. It wasn't. "No. I thought if I found the most competent person, I was taking care of you. You were taking care of part of it. The practical part. Yes, I'm good at practical things." "You are." She smiled faintly. "Not soup. No." She looked toward the living room. Frank's photograph was visible beside the phone. The medication organizer had been returned to a bathroom drawer weeks earlier. "I didn't leave because Diane was better than you," she said. "I left because I thought she was better than me. I said nothing. She always knows what to ask, Lauren continued. She never looks scared. When Caleb's father left, she handled everything. When Caleb's firm was struggling, she found an accountant and made a plan. I thought if I did what she would do, then I wouldn't fail you. And did you ask what she would do? She told me to cancel the presentation. That surprised me. Before surgery? The night before. I told her I couldn't. She said then I needed to tell you I might leave. You didn't. No. Why? Because you would have said it was fine. I almost objected. She looked directly at me. You know you would have. Yes, I admitted. And then I would have heard the way you said fine, and I would have felt guilty before anything had even happened. So I made the arrangement and told myself you'd prefer someone calm. You decided for both of us. I know. I ate another spoonful of smoky soup. Diane told me you're angry with her, I said. I was. Because she told you to stay? Because she was right. That sounded like Lauren. She also said she liked being asked, I told her. She liked being the person who knew what to do. Lauren's eyebrows rose. She admitted that? She is capable of surprise. I've seen no evidence. We smiled. Then Lauren said, What did it feel like? What? The morning of the surgery. I looked at her. You told me what I did, she continued. You didn't tell me what it felt like. The question made my throat tighten more than the apology had. It felt like I had finally become inconvenient, I said. Lauren's face changed. I had spent weeks telling myself you would be there, I continued. I knew you were busy, but I thought this was the thing that would be bigger than your schedule. When you named Diane, I felt foolish for believing that. You weren't foolish. I nodded because the nurse was watching. I didn't want a stranger to see that my daughter had briefed another mother on what to do if I didn't wake up. Lauren covered her mouth, and when I woke up, I heard Diane's voice. She had my bag and the instructions. Everything had been transferred so neatly that there was no practical reason to be upset. But you were. Yes. Why didn't you tell me when I came back? You had white roses and guilt all over your face. She gave a broken laugh. I didn't want to add to it, I said. Then you told me about the presentation, and I did what I always do. I listened until your problem was larger than mine. I'm sorry. I know. No? Tears ran down her face. I'm sorry you had to wake up to someone you didn't choose. I reached across the table. This time she took my hand. I'm sorry I made you guess what I needed, I said. I'm sorry I kept saying I was fine and then punished you for believing me. You weren't punishing me at first. Not at first. The empty kitchen felt like punishment. It was partly anger. I knew it. It was also an empty kitchen. She laughed through her tears. We sat there until the soup cooled. Lauren stayed after the practical work was finished. She washed the bowls, soaked the scorched pot, and returned to the table instead of checking her phone. At 6, she asked, Would you like me to spend the night? No. The answer hurt her less this time. Would you like me to stay another hour? Yes. She made tea. We spoke about nothing important, which felt important. Our relationship did not become effortless after that. Lauren still tried to solve things before asking. I still said fine when I meant disappointed. Occasionally, one of us caught the other in time. Sunday dinners returned once a month, not every week. The first time, Lauren brought the main dish, Caleb cleaned the kitchen, and Diane arrived with a salad and no instructions. When Lauren asked whether I could wait for a repairman the following Tuesday, I said no. She answered, okay, and found someone else. I did not take back the key to their house. I began putting money into the Santa Fe envelope again, slowly. One evening, Lauren came by without laundry, a laptop, or a reason. She rang the bell and held up 2 coffees. Can I come in? Yes. We sat at the kitchen table. After a while, her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, turned it face down, and stayed. I did not fill the silence for her. Neither of us rushed to become useful. For once, being there was enough.